The most thrilling, spine-tingling series ever.
From the pages of R.L. Stein's best-selling books,
And the screams go on forever and ever.
We now return to Goosebumps.
Greetings, Goosebumps fans, young and old, big and small, living dead and undead. Welcome back to the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Isaiah Vargas, and I'm joined by my good buddies Bjorn Pelnick and Nick Shaw. We are the Goosebumps Crew, and we're back. What else? To talk some Goosebumps. If this is your first time joining us here on the Goosebumps Crew Podcast, I want to sincerely welcome you guys. If you are or have ever been a fan of the Goosebumps series of books or the monster franchise that it spawned, this podcast is going to be right up your alley. As I always say, me, Bjorn, and Nick are some of the biggest Goosebumps nerds on the entire planet. We could talk about Goosebumps for hours. That's exactly what we do here on this podcast. Every week, we have a brand new episode talking about everything Goosebumps, from the books, TV shows, movies, video games, merchandise, whatever it is. If it has Goosebumps in the name, we're going to talk about it until the oxygen has depleted from our lungs and we can no longer talk. So with all that said, if you end up liking today's episode, make sure you leave a like and comment. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification to get updates when new episodes go up. And you can also check out some of our other episodes while you're at it. If you want to get new episodes of the podcast before they go up on YouTube, follow us over on our audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. The audio-only versions of episodes go up a day before the YouTube versions do. And of course, you can follow the Goosebumps Crew over on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as Bjorn and Nick at Goosebumps Ossifan and Shawan on their social medias and their YouTubes. Follow them if you can. They really do deserve the support. All those links are going to be in the description below, so check them out. Join the Goosebumps Crew today, become a crew member, and we thank you in advance for your support. So this week on the podcast, we're joined by two very special guests. First up, we have returning guests, Mr. Tyler Young from 90s Kids Throwback over on Instagram and TikTok. Tyler, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're glad to have you back. If you guys remember, Tyler joined me and Bjorn when we did our website tour of the Goosebumps website back in episode number 34. Mm-hmm. Check that one out. That was a lot of fun. That one
was awesome.
Check that one out.
Takes me back.
Yes,
Classic.
Indeed. And joining us for the very first time here on the podcast, from the House of Masks over on YouTube and Instagram, we have Mr. AJ Good. AJ, how you doing today, man?
I have no complaints for once in my life, so
well,
good.
That is a good day right there when you have no complaints. So,
absolutely.
We're glad to have you, AJ. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Goosebumps Crew. We're glad to have you.
I'm stoked to be here.
Absolutely. And of course, we're going to talk about Goosebumps today, more specifically, masks. That's the name of the game. Today, we are going to go through the many different Goosebumps masks and costumes, both in the franchise and out, both official and non-official. And we got some really cool stuff to check out today. Some familiar, some maybe you've never seen before. So stick around because we got some really cool stuff to check out today. But first, since AJ is joining us for the very first time, I think it's only necessary that we get to know him a little bit. As I said, AJ runs a YouTube channel called The House of Masks, as well as an Instagram account. AJ, tell us a little bit about yourself and The House of Masks.
I am a collector of pretty much anything in this realm that can be collected. So obviously we've got the Goosebumps stuff back here. Lots of 90s related stuff. So Pokemon, Attitude Era wrestling stuff, lots of theatrical bands that would have been around in the 90s. I think Slipknot is like my big market, so that's what I'm probably most well known for. And lots of horror movie franchises, all that stuff. So the House of Masks is it's a physical location museum type thing. It's an online community. And as of late, we have a festival. So we've got a festival coming up. This will be our third official Pale Fest. So it's like a House of Masks festival, which is pretty cool.
When is that going on?
This year is November 8th and 9th. It's the first year that we've pushed it out of October.
Wow, that sounds really fun. Where is it at, if you don't mind me asking?
It's here in Chillicothe, Ohio, where I'm from. No one knows what that is, but it's cool to shine some light on my hometown. So
Absolutely, that sounds like a lot of fun. If I could go to Ohio, I would definitely go there.
yeah, it's a blast, man, and every year gets bigger and bigger. So we're doing something right.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's super cool to hear. What got you into what made you want to collect? Was it just like something that just happened, or like what made you want to start collecting things?
It was like the perfect combination of stuff happening like at a very early age. Goosebumps was a big part of it. Definitely one of it was like my introduction to horror for sure. My grandpa was also a big part of it. He was super into Halloween, and he really liked like Universal monsters. So he was all about like the Wolf Man, and I can remember watching like the Invisible Man with him when I was a kid and stuff. But when he showed me Halloween 4, it was like a game changer, like actually terrifying. And then I discovered Slipknot, and I realized that masks were more than just, like a movie thing. So I got my first mask. It happened to be a Slipknot mask, and it was like game over from there. I knew that they were obtainable, so I was obsessed with tracking stuff down.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And the House of Masks, as you said, is a physical location that you can check out. So you've collected many masks over the years. Do you have any personal favorites?
Yeah, I have like a top 10, but it would take a long time to figure out what exactly they were. Everything's sentimental for a different reason. So
Absolutely. That's glad to hear. And I mean, everybody these days is a collector in some way. Even people who don't like to admit it collect something. It's a great hobby to have. And I mean, we three and Tyler, I shouldn't exclude you, all collect other than just Goosebumps stuff. It's just for me, Bjorn, and Nick, it's the thing that we collect the most of.
Right.
But as we've always said, we also collect many other things from our childhood, things from other franchises that we like, stuff like that. So collecting is a pretty big commodity, a pretty, popular hobby nowadays, especially with the internet where you can share your findings with the world. It makes for a very large community of people who can, just live in the moment and re-experience those things from their childhood, especially. So it's awesome. It just, I don't know. It just sounds so cool that you can go somewhere like a museum of masks. Like, I got to say, that's a really cool concept for a place to visit.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the whole like nostalgia-driven connecting with a community. I think the House of Masks was like the foundation of a mask community. So me literally starting with 30-second videos of like, hey, I got this new mask that's pretty cool, turned into everything that the House of Masks is now. And it's a big enough community to do that event. So I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever the three of us, go out and about and we'd be like, hey, look at all the stack of Goosebumps books that I found today. People are like, oh, sweet. Like, you found that book? Oh, I hit my mic. I got so excited. But no, like you could just like find something and then you just post about it and people are just like, holy moly. It's like, I wish I could find one of those.
Yeah.
I know, Bjorn, you especially, whenever you post something like that, people are like, oh man, how are you so lucky? Including me.
Consistency. That's what you got to be. Very, just got to keep checking the same, and you go to the same places all the time. You don't be like, oh, I've been there before, I don't need to go there again. No. Every week, same thrift stores, same bookshops, same markets on a Sunday morning, and you will find new stuff. Believe me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, for every 6th trip to a Half Price Books where I don't find a single thing, the 7th trip is like gold mine town. Like, right. In fact, the last one I had where I found like really good stuff, I had like such a rut of collecting. But then one day I walked in there and I found a whole box set, not easy to find box set, a rare hardcover, and one of 2 black spine give yourselves that I'm still missing. So now I only have one to find. So I'm like, this is why we do this. This is why we go this place so many times.
Exactly. It's your passion. It's what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I have to give my flowers to Bjorn because
I've seen it from multiple YouTubers who do thrifting. At some point, you're just like, God, I just want to give this up. Like, you cannot find shit.
Yeah.
This is awful. I feel like I wasted my entire day. Like, have not found anything in months. And basically, that's where I live. I'm not actually too far from AJ. I'm in central Indiana, so I find a whole lot of nothing anymore. And the reason why is because the last time I went into a place, I was like, your shelves are completely empty of Goosebumps. I was like, what is happening here? I was like, never used to be like this. Oh, you're looking for some lady just came in here and like bought everything we had. I'm like, of course she did. I was like, resellers. I was like,
have you noticed that thrift stores aren't thrift stores anymore?
Yeah.
It's just like it's like an outlet store or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Goodwill now especially is like that.
That collecting market has gotten so big that those stores are like more popular than ever because people are going in and looking for like rare things because things have things have value to them now that they didn't back then. So again, those things are hot commodities now. Funny enough, 20, 30 years ago, it might have been, it's just kind of like, whatever, it's just another thing, give it a few decades. Now it's like, they got to have it. So absolutely.
Online's killed the thrifting game because for the internet, my best finds were all in the wild. You know what I mean? And now it's just nothing. So all my best finds now are online. And every now and again, you might find something in the wild. And that's why you have to treasure that moment now because, it's so rare to find anything.
I don't know, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I knew about 3 years ago when I started thrifting again, the change. I showed up one day early with my wife to our biggest thrift store, and I walked in and I noticed that 10 guys were going where I was going, which was the toy section and the book section, which was Goosebumps and retro toys. And I noticed that probably 8 out of the 10 of them were like real fast, like in and out. And one of the guys I stopped and I was like, hey man, are you guys all collectors or what? Like, it's kind of weird to get like 10 people like right out of the bat just going to the toys, and he's like, yeah, no, most of us own stores or online stores or whatever, and we're looking to pick and blah blah blah. And I'm just like in my head like, whoa, like I didn't even, at the time I had no clue that it had become that, because before it was that, it was, everything was in the wild. Like I could go to a Goodwill, wherever, anywhere, Value Village, and you could find Goosebumps, whatever you wanted. Now, I mean, I have to get there at like 7, 8 a.m. on the dot when they open if I'm not working to try to get something. So.
Something that Goosebumps Completionist told me the last time we had him on before we started the show, he told me that apparently Goodwill has caught on to like the value of Goosebumps books, and now like if they get something Goosebumps related, most of the time they're actually going to like ship it somewhere else to be sold at a higher price. They won't put it with all the others. The only time you'll find an actual Goosebumps thing at a Goodwill is, number one, if the people working there are stupid, or it doesn't have any value, or it's just beat to hell. Like if I ever find a Goosebumps book, it is destroyed.
If you go to shopgoodwill.com, it's like the eBay of Goodwill. And you type in Goosebumps, anybody can. You'll see 90% of it is either oversaturated or, they're putting 6 books up at once for $30, $20, trying to get you to bidding on it. And it just makes me sad. I'm like, come on, man. Like, that's not, first of all, nobody's that stupid. Excuse me. But, also,
never underestimate the power of people.
No, I've seen some bad ones. I'm like, really? You're bidding on that? But
stupidity is rampant in lots of parts of the world.
Every once in a while, though, they will have a good one. They will have one that's got like 100 books, or they'll have, a toy or something. Like I found a Fear Street collector watch from R.L. Stein pre Goosebumps in the package with the book as a promotional piece. I've only ever seen like 2 of them ever. And, you know, it's stuff like that. Like every once in a while, they'll throw up a gem and they won't know what they're doing. It'll be like $10, you know, but it's like you said, most of them know what they're doing now. So it kind of sucks. It takes away the thrill of the hunt, if I may say.
Yeah. And it's just the way that people get now because they see the commodities of it all.
Half Price Books started doing that too.
Yeah, Half Price Books. They'll start.
I don't see them ever in my Half Price Books because apparently some bitch keeps coming in and buying them all. But
it's Isaiah.
I think that might be not at yours, but at mine. I think I'm that one person coming in and grabbing everything.
He's the bitch in Wisconsin. This bitch is in Indiana somewhere. I don't know who it is. I doubt you're watching this, but if you are, for buying all the Goosebumps and not sharing it with the rest of us. But
it's okay. It's like, yeah, fuck you. Thanks for supporting.
Right? Yeah. But Half Price Books, man, they've caught on. I know I saw some of the pictures that Isaiah did send me. They're keeping them in cases now rather than out with the other books, and they're like 20, 30 some bucks.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, you're Half Price Books. It's like you're defeating the whole.
That ain't half price. That's like 5 times the price books.
It's like going to Five Below, and you can't really find anything below $5 anymore.
No,
the world after COVID just sucks. Everything sucks.
Yes.
The latest gem I found related to Goosebumps was I went into the Red, White, and Blue, the same store I told you guys about. And it was after work, which I usually find nothing anymore. And I walked over to the book section, and they do the thing where they'll clump like 5 or 6 books together and just throw up a price of like $10, $7. And they were all first edition Fear Street books. And there was like 8 of them.
Nice.
And it was like $9.99. I'm like, this person didn't know what they were doing. Thank God. And then I just grabbed it and bought it. But it's like you said, it was one of those. I was thankful, but something that used to be a regular, once a week has now turned to like once every 6 months if I'm lucky.
Yeah. I just remember when I first started collecting, it was like you could walk into any store and find a bunch of Goosebumps books. I remember it's like one of those things of like, if I only knew back then, if I knew back then what I know now.
Yeah. If I told you how much I've spent recollecting my childhood back here, and I'm sure all of us really in our backgrounds, I'm sure we could all say it's probably in the thousands. So
yeah, it's hard. Yeah. It's like, kids, don't throw away your stuff if you can,
don't do it.
That stuff might be worth something in about 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. How many first edition Charizards do you think ended up in landfill?
I think about that every day.
Stuff.
Every single day.
I don't even want to talk about my collection because I had every first edition. Literally had every first edition, 1 to 151, hollowed. I had it cased, everything. My dad was like, you should hold on to those. I turned like 12 and I was like, F this. I want a skateboard, And so I just gave it to my neighbor or something. Looking back, and then now it's like, yeah, if you have the whole set, it's like $50,000. I'm like, sweet. Cool.
Oh, more than that if it's a bait set first edition.
Oh no, it was. Yeah, no, like I said, it's I
used to have a set, and then actually Pokemon was never really died off, but I'm pretty sure it was one of my ex-friends that ended up stealing it from me because I never took it from my house, but it's not here anymore. So I'm like, ain't
no damn friend.
and I know for sure that like my mom or grandparents, nobody knew what I had. Even if they saw those, it'd be like, oh, that's trash. So clearly one of my buddies decided to steal my set. And it turned out to be a complete first edition base set because I started when the Pokemon card game came out. And I think I collected all the way up till, oh man, when did I stop? It's probably when they got to the 3rd gen of cards were for Pokemon.
That was in that era. After Rocket, most people stopped collecting after. I mean, I guess there was Jungle, Fossil, then Rocket, and then after that they went Neo. And Neo was kind of that last set that people like really got super into. And after that, people kind of just, because they started getting all weird with it.
I like the Gym Leader set. And, I got lucky with those too. But I stayed on a little bit after that. But yeah, our card shops just kind of started dying off.
Oh
locally.
Well, I mean, all sport. I mean, really. I mean, I'm a big sports guy, card wise, but it's same with Pokemon. Like once the early 2000s hit, really sports cards as well were kind of like they just weren't the value. Nobody collected anymore. Really, like nobody was trying to make it a hobby. And then the resurgence came later in 2010s, and then obviously COVID just brought it to a whole nother stratosphere on both Pokemon and everything, really. Like you said, AJ, with Goose, everything. I mean, it just everybody went into collector mode because they were all depressed. So you know, which is probably all of us, but you know, it's
most of them weren't working and they were getting paid more from home than they were actually out working.
Yeah.
So they had to spend their money somehow in some way. So
yeah, I know I did. I went on a serious eBay kick when COVID first hit. So I was getting like, the mailman must have hated my guts because I was getting stuff like every other day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Amazon delivery drivers were probably for sure pretty busy.
But
yeah, I think you're right about that. You know, everyone was like depressed. Like, I mean, we all kind of maybe thought in the back of our minds, mess is the end of the world. So let's just be surrounded by everything we love. You know what I mean? So I get that. Yeah. That's why a lot of people went into collector mode. Like I must have everything that I enjoy before I die.
I wasn't depressed. Like I had to work the whole time. The only thing that depressed me was all these people staying at home making more money than me.
He was like, I was already depressed before COVID.
I was depressed before COVID.
There was only
COVID worse that way.
No,
one thing I will say,
I wish I could stay home and away from people.
One thing I will say is I'm glad
I get surrounded by all my stuff all day. And
Bjorn just had the idea. You could have done OnlyFans.
I mean, I got the tits, but I do not have the hot bod for the rest of that.
Don't got to show
Dude,
maybe
girls love dad
only
bods.
feet.
That's true.
Maybe
Yeah.
Well, see,
You only have to have nice
I
feet.
swear is not what a female says a dad bod is. Dad bod's like, oh, it's just because you don't have abs. But I got a keg. I got milkers. I got the whole, you know,
over the shoulder.
it's like they say you got a cake, you got the whole damn bakery.
Right, exactly. It's like it's that video that literally Tyler I just saw you made the other day, and I laughed so hard at. It was about the cops looking for a middle-aged man with a muffin top.
That was a bad one.
Yeah,
that was a bad one.
Totally, that's me.
I knew. I was contemplating the leak he got, and I'm like, you know what? This is real life. Let's put it in there. So,
like, what is the line between like joke and self-degradation?
oh, try if you guys. Well, later in the show we'll say it, but if you see my TikTok, you'll see it's not like my 90s page. It's very morbid humor, but me and my wife. But I will say that too, you know, and this page that I've created, obviously, you know, like if I would have thought 4 years ago it was ever going to turn into what it did, I would have told you were crazy. But, you know, I started it during COVID because same thing. I was a little depressed, bored, you know, working out of my mind as well, you know, and 4 kids going to school at home. It was pretty crazy. But, you know, at the same time, you know, looking back now, it was one of the coolest things I ever did because I wouldn't be doing stuff like this. So
absolutely, man. It's what it is. Stuff changes in the modern time. And I will say one more thing.
Somewhere.
I'm very glad that my I remember actually when I got my NES, it was actually a hand-me-down from my grandpa. My grandpa like kept it in his basement, and I was so happy when he said he was like, "Oh, I have a Nintendo," and I'm like what kind? Because I'm like, Nintendo can mean a lot of things, but yeah, he had a whole NES and 2 controllers and a whole stack of games, including Mario, and I was like, fuck yeah! So it's like, you know, don't get rid of that stuff because it's gonna be hard to get a hold of.
No Nintendo, I was like the OG Nintendo. I didn't think you were even old enough, so I'm glad when you said it was a hand-me-down from your grandfather. That made so much more sense.
Well, after that, I got on a big like retro game kick, so I have like every Nintendo console now, from the NES to the Switch, and like, you know, all 5 PlayStations, all the Xboxes. So I have a Sega Genesis, the original Sega Genesis. So yeah, no, I got on a huge kick with that. But I think we've established by this point.
Got a Sega CD.
I don't have a Sega CD. I only have the Genesis.
Into the
okay?
retro games, man.
I ain't breaking my legs to find a Sega Saturn. I'm just saying. Okay. I think we established by this point, though, that that AJ, you yourself are like us, also a Goosebumps fan, and you got your whole collection right behind you. With all this talk of collecting, what's probably your favorite piece of Goosebumps merch that you've collected?
It is the one that Nick actually just helped me find, and I can remember hitting Bjorn up about this probably 10 years ago or something. It's the Curly's Brain Bites.
Yeah.
I had that when I was a kid, and I wanted to eat it so bad for so long, and then my parents finally let me eat it, and it was disgusting, so it totally wasn't worth it. And then once it was open, the skull was discarded, and I don't know whatever happened to it, but I always thought that clear skull was just the coolest thing ever. So I finally got one back in the collection like 4 months ago or something like that.
That was awesome.
Like that, yeah.
I remember when we did our commercial episode. That was episode number 27. We did a big reaction to Goosebumps commercials, and that was one of them. Was the commercial for the it was the Brain Bites, and then it was also like the Monster Head Maker, so it had like a bunch of toys in one commercial. But one of them was the Brain Bites, and I think we even said it was like, those don't look remotely appetizing.
No, I just remember being so disappointed as a kid when I finally got to eat it. I was like, and then like the older I got, I was like, why on earth did I do that? Why did I open that and then lose it? And then, yeah,
just being like, I think those Brain Bites probably shaped like 5 years
nowadays. I've tried to reclaim, and there's no way I'm going to be able to reclaim those because they're just astronomically expensive.
Yeah,
it's a sad truth of today. Like, it's like, oh, I really wanted to get this Dino Riders figure from Tycho back in the day. It's like, oh, I bet you that's nothing now because it wasn't even all that popular back then. No. It's like, oh, you want this T-Rex in the box? It's like $8,000. It's like, oh, cool. I showed my mom that. I was like, you see what happens when you don't get me the stuff I want? It was like $60 then, $8,000 now.
These were investments, Mom.
Yeah,
exactly.
These are going to pay for themselves in no time.
Yeah. You were just trying to be smart with your money.
Yeah.
Oh god! I just showed Nick actually a video.
Even with like the masks, like I actually still have my original '90s Goosebumps masks. But of course, I took the tags off. Of course, I wanted to wear them and do all this. So they got the casual rip in the back, like most of them do, because nobody could apparently do a freaking hole punch in the back in the day like you should, so it wouldn't tear as easily. But
yeah, so those ones were vinyl, so there was no give to them.
Oh God, no! They were vinyl. If I remember, they are vinyl. So they won't rot, which is great. So they still look like they did back then.
No
but of course, like on a mask one, So back then, like it's just like you said, no give, so easily ripped because you wanted to get that over my big fat ass head, and I was like, I'm on a mask.
Ass head.
Of course, I cut like the teeth like open so I could actually like do like she did in the show. I was like, why do they leave it closed? So mine's mangled, but it's mine.
The things I do stuff as a child. I hate thinking about the kind of things I do with my Goosebumps books when I was like 10 years old. Ugh.
Why some of the pages are stuck together?
No.
Weird,
whoa.
You're a sick man. You know what? Let's change our topic because you talked about Goosebumps
What were you reading when the pages got stuck together? Which one?
You were mentioning Goosebumps masks.
I just meant bubblegum. Duh. What the hell are you talking about?
Now we're going to talk about Goosebumps masks. That's the topic for this week.
Right.
And
bubble tape.
As was mentioned, I mean, there was tons of Goosebumps masks in the 90s, merch-wise, and we're going to be looking at some of those in a sec, because some of them range from pretty awesome to honestly pretty shitty. But first, we're going to have to take a look at some of the masks and costumes that were actually present within the shows and movies of Goosebumps. So we're going to take a look at those really quick first. Starting off, this is in no particular order, chronologically or by episode, but we're going to take a look at some of the masks and creatures that were in the original Goosebumps TV show first. As you can see right here, we have, first off, we have the Mummy, Prince Koru, which I always liked. I really liked the Mummy in the Goosebumps TV show, though honestly, it looked a little different than he did in Don't Wake Mummy. I think it's just because of the eyes.
Creepier. It was creepier in Don't Wake Mummy. Like, he looks so scary in that. Like, I had nightmares.
I think it's also because they obscured him in Return of the Mummy a lot more. He was a lot more in shadow, so you didn't get a good look at like what he really looked like. But I always liked how the Mummy looked because it just looked really creepy. Then we got Mr. Mortman. I mean, this one's a classic right here. I mean, this one is just like anybody ever thinks about the Goosebumps TV show, they probably think about the Girl Who Cried Monster because it's just an iconic episode. Were you guys scared of Mr. Mortman as a kid?
I don't know. I did prosthetics, so I guess for me, I look at it in a little bit of a different light versus a mask because it kind of, in my head, I mean, it's dope. Like, it looks cool, like when you're watching on TV, but looking back at some of the aesthetic they did in the 90s, like, it looks like he's wearing a helmet that goes halfway down his face, and then you can see the turtleneck bodysuit that comes up below it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but him as a character was sick. I mean, as a 90s kid, you know, like, that was the whole thing back then, was a little bit of cheesiness with it, right? So, well,
and we found out I mean, it's pretty impressive that they were able to pull that off because, you know, they were able to make the eyes move like that. And I think there was even a shot where you like saw his head like pulsating from the top. It just looked like really gross and just inhuman to say the least. But I mean, it's definitely one of the best like designs for a monster in the Goosebumps TV show.
The important thing is that all of these are practical. Like, 90s Goosebumps show had a lot of weird CGI, terrible stuff going on, but it was never with the creatures, which was rad.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna point out. Is back in the 90s, you know, even early 2000s, you were dealing with a lot of this more practical stuff where the eyes are moving or the brains are oozing out. You know, they have some kind of robotic, you know, function in there that's making it happen, and it sucks because you don't see that anymore. You just don't, and it's sometimes practical just looks way better and looks way cooler than CGI.
Oh, the new Alien Romulus, though, they went practical, man. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the new Alien, but they actually went back to being quite practical with the xenomorph, and I was just impressed by that. I was like, oh wow, they used a real xenomorph practical effect in this movie. This is great.
Practical will always triumph over CGI because at least no matter how practical looks, it is at least there with the actors, whereas CGI, you're just there's virtually almost no way to make it look realistic. Sometimes they can make it look good, but it's like,
well, that and they're sitting in a green screen room, to be honest, and they're usually just in a suit. And you know, I think that's the thing about this. You know, these people are actually in costumes and they're probably sitting there for hours. You know, I think one of the last practical mask outfits that I was really impressed by before kind of the turn of the century was Jim Carrey playing the Grinch. You know, I think that was, for me, that was like one of the last, like this, like it was one of the last, like he probably sat there for 6-8 hours getting, you know, prepped every day. Getting that.
Well, did you ever hear the story that apparently the makeup process was so bad that he had to be trained by a CIA agent, like in the means of like torture? Like, that's how bad it was. Like, I think he said in an interview, I'll never forget it. He said in an interview, is like, you could hit me with a baseball bat. I'd be like, hi, how are you? So.
Oh, wait, I do know that. And he was sitting there, like, he said he would sit there and rock back and forth, sometimes being like, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids.
Yeah, he was like, he said he almost quit the entire picture because it was so grueling of a process, but he did it. And by God, I mean, Jim Carrey just has the face to work with that kind of makeup. That's why that makeup works for that character.
I'm sure they opted a little bit more of that green stuff to be like, come on.
I'm sure he still gets paid pretty well for that.
I have to point out the ghost in Piano Lessons Can Be Murdered down here on the bottom right. This thing scared the hell out of me. And man, when it's up in the camera in this shot, like, I've pretty sure I had at least 1 or 2 nightmares.
Yeah, I'm with you. That is one of the most underrated episodes from the entire show, like hands down.
Agree.
Like, that is creepy. Like, everyone in that plays their part so well. even just Dr. Shriek was just terrifying. You know
and
what
then
I mean?
in the
Like,
bottom left here, we have the scariest monster of them all. This one I included as a joke.
Yeah.
It's at the end of Girl Cry Monster, where Lucy's friend comes in with the mask. They're like, oh no, another monster. But like, what even is it? It's like a bird. It almost looks like a bird mask.
It looks like
it's a moth.
there's like, what's that fish? There's like a fish that has like an ugly face. And it's called, I can't remember.
The blobfish.
Have ugly faces.
Blob, is that it? The glob?
Yeah, blobfish.
Kind of
Yeah.
Blobfish.
It's got like a big nose and like.
It looks like a it looks like a. I'm not even gonna say it. But yeah, it's.
Go ahead.
We'd have to edit that if I had to say it, so I'm not gonna say it. So, but
You have
yeah,
to put it's the first time we're gonna have to
to.
put a bleep in an episode. No, I've always wondered what that was. I'm just like, it almost looks like a bird from like far away, but yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look very birdish up front.
Something. It almost looks like a puffer fish, like with a nose.
A little bit, yeah. It looks like it looks like a pufferfish with like a Mr. Burns nose. Anyway, moving on. All right, so down here on the bottom left, we have the mummy from Don't Wake Mummy. So it looks a little different from the last one.
Oh, that's totally different than the last one. Last one, I could tell they just put a few prosthetics on the guy's face, and maybe that's why they were using shadows more, because maybe it was a rushed project, because everything with Goosebumps was rushed.
Yeah.
Listen, that one's sick.
This one
though.
maybe had more time.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one, the bottom right, that one. See that one when I was a kid. As soon as we turned to this page, like I remember that one. That one freaked me out pretty bad.
I've said before that this episode didn't crack my top 5 scariest episodes, but I did mention that it is one of the, I do think, the scariest moments when the kid is locked in the basement because his bitch sister locked him in there. And he just gets up and he turns around like, and
with all the smoke coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, he's got like smoke coming out of his mouth.
So
and it's
so cool.
Yeah.
Love it. And then of course
really well done.
we have the Haunted Mask and the Unloved down here on the bottom left. I mean, these ones are pinnacle
Best
of Goosebumps
mask design ever. That's what got me
I
into
still
mask.
like it just to this day, like in my head, like the things the 90s, because we really were the last generation to get like pretty raw TV. And like just looking at these, I'm like, in what mind were they like, hey, you know what? These 6 to 8 year olds, listen, this is what I want. You know, like, and secretly it was, I mean, down the road, but you know, looking back, I mean, I was scared shitless watching this for the first couple times. You know?
Well, and when those faces like turn like that in that shot, when they slam the door and they turn in that direction, that's like creepy in and of itself. But then when you get to the end where they're floating up and they're chasing her through the graveyard like that,
yeah,
haunting.
Join us.
Join us.
Yeah, that scene scared me as a kid.
Oof.
When they're chasing it through. It just honestly, it's just the part where they're just lifting up for time, and they're just like, because obviously, as we know, it was the the makeup crew or something, like everyone that worked on the masks. Like,
every person who worked on their, because they each worked on their individual mask, and then they got to wear them in the actual episode.
Yeah.
So there's like a photo from Ron where like it was either Ron or Alan. It was like, no, it was Alan. Alan was there with like all the mask people, so they were all wearing them, and then they had like completely blue like suits.
So it looked like they were floating.
Yeah.
So they're just over there doing lunges and squats just to make
before green screen there was blue screen.
And then we have the Mud Monster and the Swamp Monster from You Can't Scare Me and Kill Monster, respectively. The Mud Monster, I think that and the Masked Mutant are like the most accurate to the Tim Jacobus art in terms of adapting him to the screen. I love the Mud Monster in You Can't Scare Me. I think it's just a great design. I love. We found out that it was played by a professional wrestler. So he was like just big and hulking over these kids, and he was just terrifying.
Andre the Giant in there, just.
If only that would have been sweet.
It would have been.
And then you have the.
What about Captain Insano? I thought it would have been Captain Insano.
Captain Insano.
Captain Insano.
What would have been super rad is if he started doing wrestling moves on the kids.
Just like suplexing out of nowhere.
Just turns into a completely different program.
Just choke slam. Just.
Oh my god, that would be awesome. Somebody should make like a YouTube poop edit of that.
I was gonna say now there's gonna have to be an edit out there somewhere. When you see the mud monster walking up, he gets his music going, and then when he gets to the kids, somebody's gonna have to edit that.
JR's just doing commentary. That kid's got a family.
Oh my god, she's dead. She's dead.
And then we got the swamp monster from How to Kill a Monster. Now this thing is not at all remotely what I would have thought ever from the book.
No.
Not at all. In fact, it's so weird because the swamp monster in general is like the most drastically redesigned Goosebumps monster, I think, because you have like the furry hand on the cover of the book. Then you have this version from the TV show, which is very reptilian. It almost looks like some kind of lizard person. And then you have the one from the movie that we're going to get to in a little bit that is almost like covered in moss. It almost looks like a moss creature. We'll see it when we get to that point, but it's just weird
how that like meant to be the monster from How to Kill a Monster.
It is.
I know what you're talking about, but I
don't remember that.
I couldn't figure out what that was.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of looks like if a turd got mutated and became a monster. Like that's what I imagined.
So that happened already in
shit demon.
Didn't that happen in Dogma?
Dogma. Yeah. I was just saying the shit demon from Dogma.
Yeah.
But I love this design, and it's just like a massive thing. Like I can only imagine what it was like being the actor within that, because it just looks like so deformed with the head and the very arched back. But it's a great design. It really looks nice, personally.
It doesn't make me wonder where they put the eyes at, because obviously with the neck being extended like that in the head, it's an animatronic on that portion. So it makes me wonder where the eyes actually were for the person in the suit.
Could be like right below the neck, so it's like out of sight. But yeah, it's like you got to wonder like where the proportions are in that thing. Moving on, we have these four. So right up here in the top left, we have the mother from Cry the Cat, and this is just gnarly. Like it's
just an allergic reaction. He's fine.
That's just
I get like that around a bunch of cats too.
That's actually Will Smith from Hitch. They didn't show it off camera.
Right.
It looks like something that you would have thought was true when you saw it on E-Bombs World in like the early 2000s.
Or like on one of those like National Enquirer magazines. It's like half person, half cat.
You gotta go ask your mom. You're like, that's fake, right? Like that's fake.
It's like, yeah, it's fake. And it's like, is it?
That's real.
And then we have
also the lizards. Yeah, these guys.
The creeps from Calling All Creeps.
The creeps freaked me out.
Oh man, it's weird though, because as I was talking about the swamp monster is like the most drastically redesigned. The creeps are actually like the most consistent, except for the TV show, because every other version they're purple, but in the TV show they're like straight
they almost
yellow.
Look like raptors in a way.
I was going to say they looked like large humanoid raptors.
Yeah, almost like something you'd see on the original Jurassic Park.
And when we talked to Ron Stephanic, he said that this was actually, I think, based on the Gorns from Star Trek.
Oh God!
Oh,
I see it.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I could totally see it at that point.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
you see in the eyes and the eyebrows.
Yeah. And then we have the horror right down below it. We have one of the horrors. There's more horrors that we will see because there was different versions. But this one is Bleck from One Day at Horrorland, the one who's like, "Get out! Wow, you still can!" But I mean, these were ripped straight from the book. Yeah, it was like it's very much similar to the book, with the horns just like wrapping all around and going like back up. Through this way. And they work really well as like masks. These ones in particular, there's another kind of horror in the episode, which we're going to look at in a second, that I'm not a huge fan of, but these ones, they like actually made it work with the eyes and the mouth of the actor. So they look more realistic. And then we have the pumpkin heads from Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. These are classic right here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, these are
I was so glad to see Trick or Treat Studios made those.
Yes.
And honestly, that's probably one of the best representations Trick or Treat Studios done as far as Goosebumps. Don't get me wrong, the other sculpts don't look terrible of the other characters that they've done, but this is by far the closest one they've ever done. I mean, it's almost identical.
Yeah, most accurate.
I was so happy they came out with those.
Yeah, I mean, they
really did like these designs. That's the only problem I had actually with Tim's artwork too, was I didn't much care for the faces he put on there. They were a little too like cutesy Halloween rather than scary. Again, kids book, so I let it slide. But I was like, man, I just wish they were a little bit more scary.
They do look like almost just like regular, like goofy looking pumpkin heads.
Yeah, but these ones look like actually scary. Like you wouldn't want to run into those things, especially when they're chasing after you in the woods and they're like just yelling like trick or treat forever.
I like how none of them have noses either.
Crab claws.
Put on the head.
Zaps or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, the crab claws are good.
All right, moving on to the next page.
To have those earthworm gym-like heads underneath those, or the jack-o'-lanterns themselves?
Well, we're gonna get to those in just a second. Don't you worry, I didn't forget about those ones.
Oh, okay.
But first, okay, so here on the top left we have what was it, Piranha Person or something from Shocker on Shock Street. Something like that. It was it's basically just a person with a fish head. I like it. It's cheesy and corny, but I really like it.
It made a weird sound, a really weird sound. That's what I remember.
I don't even want to try attempting it.
Yeah, it was odd. It was very odd. Literally, it was kind of creepy though in a way. But yeah, it was so weird.
And then we got the old man mask from Haunted Mask 2.
I want to go on record and say that is the scariest Goosebumps thing to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, that freaked me out. That freaked me out too. I agree with you, AJ. Like, just the scenes where, like, with the sweat dripping down and that freaked me out with the voice and everything.
I already think that like old people are scary. So anytime there's like old people in horror movies, it's like a weird, creepy thing. But as a kid seeing that, like, it was way scarier than the original Haunted Mask design to me.
Well, it's because it's like
goes to build on what you just said. Think about the nightmare scene from Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. I think those old people in that were, we've talked about multiple times, kind of creepier than anything else in Goosebumps were the old people.
I'm assuming you don't like the movie X then.
Yeah, no, X was a weird one, dude.
I'd say credit to the actor who played this guy too, because I think like you nailed it with the old people, because I think the Haunted Mask was scary for sure, but I think when you add the realism of like his face is getting sucked in and he's actually becoming the old man.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it was
even
like
down to the smell,
he did such a good job of actually making it look like he was like this old decrepit man.
The funny thing about the Haunted Mask 1 and 2 is that the Haunted Mask 1, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is something I've realized over the years, is that the Haunted Mask 1 is more scary about the things happening around Carly Beth, like the other masks and just, just like kind of what's happening to her internally. This one in the Haunted Mask 2 is pure body horror. It's like you are just rapidly aging, and not just aging, like gross aging. Like your fingers are becoming like long and untrimmed. Your face is you got spiders crawling in your hair. So
that's why I could never be scared by the Haunted Mask, because like it was kind of cool that you were becoming this creepy thing, and the only thing happening is that you turn into a kind of a dick. But this one is literally killing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then like when the haunted mask itself like comes to him and is like trying to get him to grab the Carly Beth head, when he refuses, he's just like, then I'll make you worse. He's like, your tongue will dry up, or like your eyes will turn to
pus. And he was like that's when he like freaks out, like, because he can't breathe.
Oh, it's terrifying concept.
Haunted Mask 2 is underrated, and I will never understand why it's underrated. Why don't more people
I
talk
think it's
about that?
because the Haunted Mask 1 is seen as more like, one, it's more nostalgic, and two, it's a little more, I guess, gravitas in its approach. The sequel is definitely more like typical Goosebumps sort of stuff, and the Haunted Mask 1 is a little more emotional in its approach. So that's probably why it's just people kind of resonate with the first one more.
Well,
but
that and and you add to the story too that it's not just the nostalgic part, but sometimes directors or whoever's doing it, they nail the story so good that it's almost like it's not replicated, but it's that sequel will never be able to amount to the hype of the first one.
Yeah. And then we have some of the other horrors from One Day at Horrorland. So we took a look at the good version in the last slide. These ones I'm not too crazy about. I think it's just the static face and the yellow eyes. There's really like
Blossom
no
hat.
expression.
It's the Blossom hat, isn't it? I never noticed that before on one of the horrors.
Well, that's
Literally
what
has
makes
a
it
freaking
funny
Blossom
is
hat.
that they put like all this weird stuff on them. Like you can see one down here has like really big nerd glasses on. Like, can you see that in the bottom right?
Those are Harry Potter glasses.
Yeah.
Not nerdy.
But like when they have to have one talk, like this guy with the head, like it's funny. But it's like when you compare it to the ones that you can actually see their eyes and their mouth move, it just, there's, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to put into words, but it's like, you kind of wish they all had like really like facial movements and not just static heads when they're talking.
These ones actually do seem like fake monsters in a park.
Well, and also you talked about the rushing, and it makes me wonder if there were times when they didn't have the time to do or make the prosthetics with the practical effect, and they were like, okay, with this one we're just going to do a static head, Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer because it makes you think, like, if that is the case, what would it have looked like if they were able to take their time on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely saved it for like more of the main horror characters.
Because this was one I think we did talk about with them, Alan and Ron, and they both pretty much said, yeah, this one was, I think, one of the more demanding 2-part episodes because of how many they had to make.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that that's probably what happened. There's a lot of static monster masks had to be made.
Yeah.
While there's a few played by Ron and a couple others actually too that had the eyes and the mouth and everything that were just applied on.
Well, we found out that the one that gives the monster punch is, I think, is played by Ron and is voiced by Ron. So it's like 2 monster punches coming right up.
Yeah, that was right. So cool.
I love it. All right, moving on. So all 4 of these are from the same episode, the Haunted House game, and they're not the only ones, but they were the only ones that I picked for this slideshow. This episode went for a lot of just kind of typical ghoulish looks. I do like the 2 ladies here because they almost look doll-ish, but like very creepy doll, like old-ish doll look to them. And then you have the sea captain and the fisherman on the right here.
Yeah, I think the practical effect, these ladies, I think what the creepiest part about them is the realism. Not that obviously the darker make it adds to the touch of a hint of death, I guess, but it's there's actually older ladies that sometimes do wear their makeup like that, I guess, and it is kind of creepy when you see it, and it's I'm not digging that.
No.
So
that goes back to what AJ says: be old people.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Old people are creepy. This episode's full of old people. Even the kids, even the 2 kids turn out to be old people. Moving on, so we got some classics here. So on the top here, we have 2 pictures from the Werewolf of Fever Swamp. So on the right, we have just a close-up pic of what the actual wolf looks like from that jump scare. That's like the only really clear picture you get of the wolf in the episode. A lot of it is very shadowed due to the lighting, which I kind of like. It. The thing about Goosebumps is that sometimes obscuring what the monster looks like actually kind of made it scarier. You know what I mean? Because you can only imagine what it looks like then at that point.
Right.
And there were many moments with that. But on the left, you have sort of the half transformation of Will when the moon gets hidden and he's half transformed and he's being like, "Get away, Grady! I don't want to hurt you, but I can't help myself."
I can't speak on this one. I'm not going to say what it looks like, but yeah, no, it is cool.
It's just like it is neat to see like what is halfway between human and wolf. It actually almost looks like sort of the old classic werewolf, like the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman sort of thing. Do you guys see it?
I like how you can see the bottom of his
human mouth
inside the mask and his little teeth inside the teeth.
Oh yeah,
I love it when you can see the actor like actually in there. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think it's cheesy. I think it's just it brings that real. It's like the Ninja Turtle picture where you see their eyes and their mouth inside.
Oh God.
I will say there is one other monster in this show. I feel like you were going to probably bring it up, Bjorn. We will get to that one in a second. That does have the same thing with the mouth inside the mouth. But we'll get to that in a second. I threw this one on the bottom left in for fun. This is Dr. Ritter, what happens to him at the end of Deep Trouble, the series finale. The fish people get a hold of him. They give him some of that magic plankton or whatever, the formula. And give him gills.
It's a lot more than gills.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty basic, but I just like it. It's
magic plankton.
Yeah, plankton, crabs,
magic plankton,
crabs. And then we got the lawn gnomes on the bottom right here.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are pretty terrifying. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
They did a lot. Yeah, they definitely put the name in gnome for that one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like when they put them in like low lighting, there's that one shot where the sister falls and then you just see one of them being like that's creepy right there.
One of the rare occasions where the TV show look is scarier than the art on the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. The art, if you went off the art on the book, it looks more like Gremlins, where it's like, oh, I mean, it's not that scary. But this show, like, if there was an army of these things running around, like, I would sit in my basement and never come out.
Like, I'm not lie. If I woke up and that, like, I'd be more scared than if the werewolf was next to me in my bed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, it goes back to that whole innocent-looking thing. You know what I mean? Like,
what's your intent?
I don't know if anybody else here has kids besides me. I've got one. I got a daughter. And when she was younger, she did that. I woke up. And she was just standing there, fucking watching me sleep. And she just about got judo chopped. And I told her, "You're lucky."
So
I had to have a funeral instead of a conversation because
I'm glad
I was going to have a heart attack or I was going to like.
Okay. So when I first met my wife, one of the very first nights that I stayed the night, it was in the middle of the night. I woke up and you know how like you think you see things like even as an adult, like when you're sleeping, you'll wake up and you see a shadow or whatever. Anyway, so her daughter, Hazel, our daughter, the door was open. It was pitch black. And all I remember is looking at the edge of the bed and there was this dark silhouette. Couldn't see what it was. It was too dark, but I knew there was a silhouette and it just stood there. And out of the worst possible things she could do, and not just only stand next to the bed, she rushed as fast as she could and lunged into the bed. And I kid you not, when I tell you, I jumped up as fast as humanly possible. And I turned, I just said, she started to cry. I felt so bad. She started crying. I turned the light on. I go, what are you thinking? Like, are you just about gotten your ass kicked? Like, I said, do not ever rush our bed like that again. Ever, 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 ever. Yeah. I thought I should be dead.
Old people. Demon was lunging at you or something.
Should be dead.
Yeah.
Scariest things on earth, kids and old people.
I just want to point out before we move on from the gnomes that they are probably so scary because gnomes are technically just porcelain statues of old people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all goes back to the old people.
Yeah.
Facts. Okay. Yep.
All goes back to the old people.
Facts.
Yep.
Facts.
All right, here we are at the next page.
Oh my god.
So first up on the top left, we have another one from Deep Trouble. This one also was in Shocker on Shock Street, but it was more primarily focused on in Deep Trouble. But you have this, it turns out to be sort of a crab man. It showed that he has like a crab claw when he puts it up to Dr. Deep's face. But man, look at that face, those teeth, like in that mouth. There's even like teeth like coming out from his lip. Like if you can see that.
It looks like a variation of the Haunted Mask, honestly. Like it's just more twisted, but it's a cool looking mask. That's
the demon mask.
Yeah.
That's the three.
It's almost Darth Maul-ish. It's kind of got a Darth Maul.
I will say, off topic, just nerding out right now. I don't care what y'all say about it. The Scarecrow episode is probably one of like my top 3 like books and episodes.
Same.
I love Scarecrows.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
Love Scarecrows. So that one
too.
did it in for me.
That
Terrifying
not only is it one of my
for sure.
favorite episodes, but
is.
that is one of my favorite monster designs from the whole Goosebumps 90 series right there.
Mhm.
That is a terrifying looking Scarecrow.
And they didn't show it a lot. Like you see a silhouette of him like passing the window. And like most of the episode, it was really like them trying to figure out where he was, you know. But
It makes it scarier though. Like you're longing to see it, but you got to use like your imagination.
Yeah.
Well,
like
and you're
long
surrounded
layout.
by these things too. Like that's what makes it so scary. Is just I mentioned this in our top 5 scariest episodes, but like most of my favorites have some sort of like feeling of isolation. Being in the middle of like a farm in the country where nothing for miles is like cornfields and these scarecrows is a horrifying thought.
Yeah.
And there's just something about scarecrows in general. That like they're not the typical kind of monster you would think of, you know, like a vampire or a werewolf. It's like scarecrows are just inherently creepy because they're just kind of hung up. They're just watching over everything. And I don't know, it's just it almost gets, you almost look at them as like, for me, kind of look like dead people. Like they just kind of look like you're just hanging dead people over your lawn. You know what I mean?
I feel like the Scarecrow is an untapped horror market because, I mean, you have Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. That was a TV thing, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jeepers Creepers kind of played the Scarecrow bit a little bit.
When you kind of have like Batman Scarecrow, but that one's not really a monster. It's just a villain.
The one that really got me honestly into, and it was actually a book prior by Alvin Schwartz, but as a kid, I had the audio tape and the book, but in like the 4th grade, I had an unfortunate privilege of reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And
that's where I was going.
Harold. When I heard that and Alvin Schwartz narrate, dude, I don't know if you guys have listened to those audio tapes narrated by Alvin Schwartz, but if you do, they're a little cheesy now as an adult, but some of them, especially with the nostalgic, creepy music he plays in the background, it's pretty creepy. Even now as an adult, like it's pretty creepy. And yeah, I'm really surprised they made that for kids, to be honest.
Well, and I don't really care for the Scary Stories movie, but I will say that they did a great job bringing that design to life in that movie. It made for a really creepy scene, I will say. But Scarecrow Walks in Midnight.
I could have used more of it, like this episode. I could have used more Scarecrow, but
yeah,
there's a good Scarecrow scare in House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't really care for Rob Zombie's movies, but they utilize multiple scarecrows, and then one of them just happens to be Otis, and he like jumps off the post and whatever.
Yeah.
Scarecrows are creepy. Scarecrows are creepy, man. I'm telling you, they are terrifying things. Scarecrow Walks at Midnight is one of my favorite episodes. So, yeah, that is not a hot take here, my friend. Down here on the bottom left, we have now I hate Say Cheese and Die Again. It is one of my least favorite episodes in the whole show. But I will admit, I do think that this skeleton Grim Reaper thing from the beginning is just amazing. I love that design of the hooded skeleton. Oh, so good.
Just
Come on,
has
you're
like
not
a
a fan
classic
of, come
feel.
on. Ryan Gosling, let's go.
Oh, that one didn't have Ryan Gosling in it though. It had a
Or not
replacement.
Ryan Gosling. Who was it? He was in Say Cheese or Die, wasn't he?
He was in the first one. This is
He was in
the
the-
sequel
oh.
episode we're talking
Is
about.
this the
Yeah.
sequel? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm a little rusty on that one.
No Ryan Gosling in the sequel, which automatically deducted 10 points from it. So
Yeah, that. See, you take him out. I mean, it's over now. You know, I don't even want to see it.
and then we have Harrison's transformation into Slappy at the end of
Christ.
Bride of the Living Dummy. Now, minimal stuff here, but those eyes, man.
Well, I'm more
Man,
concerned
there's
about
something. I have a perfect caption for that, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on here.
do it.
Go for it.
When you nut and she keeps sucking.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, true. I might have to bleep that out, but that's true.
Yeah, you got it.
I mean, you pointed out the eyes, but what about the hair? The little slappy.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm more concerned about the little Jerry curl going on in the front there. I wasn't sure what was happening.
Slappy likes his hair a certain way. That was like the first thing.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing when he was in the sink there. He was like fixing his hair so he could do the turnaround and be like, so how's it look?
Yeah.
Should Slappy
That's
have been
true.
named Curly?
Eh.
I've got a bad.
Huh?
I've got a bad joke
I mean, the
too,
TV
but-
show one certainly had that name.
Wait. If I told my joke, you have to tell yours.
I was gonna say either that or he's got knee pads on. He's ready to go to Pound Town. You know, either one.
Oh boy.
You know. Look, yeah.
Welcome to the 18 plus edition of Goosebumps.
Oops.
All right, moving on. We got
The mutant.
Yep. So we got Attack of the Mutant. First, I'll just quickly point out the last one from Deep Trouble we got here in the middle. I don't even know what this thing is supposed to be. I just remember it had a really like interesting noise that it made. It was like a really throaty, like
The Super Soaker.
yeah. but then of
That's
course
creepy
the
as
Masked
though.
Mutant and then the Galloping Gazelle. So the Galloping Gazelle, as famously known, is played by Adam West in the episode, the late Adam West. And the Masked Mutant, as I said, I think is almost like a perfect recreation of the book cover, minus the muscular, like just the muscular arms being out in the book cover. But I think these two are.
Why is it that episode was like? It was a terrible episode, but like the Masked Mutant's design was perfect. The headquarters looked straight ripped from the book, like the outside.
I just think
It
I
looked
just wanted to
exactly
know what
like-
the budget was for that set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
That's the thing.
getting Adam West too was probably not a cheap endeavor.
Right.
That was the
Well,
budget.
they did say, if you remember, they said that set was an abandoned factory or something that's no longer there. But that's why they were able to utilize it, because it was like either free or very cheap. They just had to add lighting and a few other things. Adam West probably was the most expensive thing, but he did it because, remember, they said that he could keep his costume. Like he had that put in his contract to make up the difference in pay, that he get to keep the Galloping Gazelle costume,
That's cool.
That's awesome.
which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagine like going to clean his house out and you find that in his closet. You're just like, what the fuck is
Nobody
this?
wants it. We're like, no, we'll take it.
Yeah.
And then the Masked Mutant, Scott Wickware, I mean, we've already said it, especially when we had him on, but was just a delight in this role. He was so amazing. So, I mean, this episode just captured the sort of Adam West Batman aesthetic that they were going for with the superhero thing. Everything was so colorful. It's why I wish they'd focused on this more. Like, this is the stuff I wanted to see. If they had a whole episode just based on this stuff, like I think I'd probably like it more. But I thought it
100%.
worked really well.
Without the Masked Mutant, that episode would have really bombed. No Adam West could have saved that.
No,
Scott really held that role. But that's one thing like I really hope Trick or Treat Studios does is that Masked Mutant mask. Like I would absolutely love to have one of those.
I would want
I
Masked
know that
Mutant,
Dark
Blood
Water
Monster,
Effects,
and the long.
I don't know if he makes them anymore, but
One
yeah,
person
Doug
has
Dino did make that.
Mhm.
Zach Baby TV's got.
Well, that was one made by
That's
Mutant
dildo.
so-
Anyway. All right, so here we have Mr. Slappy. Now,
No.
I wasn't originally
He gets his own
intending to
whole
put
screen.
Slappy in this slideshow because Slappy himself is a prop, I consider. But then I remembered that there is a costume version of Slappy in Night of the Living Dummy 3, and it's pretty
There's a
uncanny
mask.
valley, to be honest.
Well, this mask is better than the one that TOTS put out. I'll say that.
Oh,
About the only positive thing I can say. Well, it was
Yeah.
that TOTS mask of Slappy looked stupid. I will straight up say it. It looks stupid.
I
That's
agree,
what I said. Like,
but I
the
also
jack-o'-lantern
hate
one
seeing
looked
that
great.
in the episode.
yeah. Well,
Oh, God,
it's because
yeah,
you can
no,
obviously
like I said-
tell when it's a person in a mask and when it's the actual dummy. Like, it is super
Yeah.
blatantly obvious. Especially when it goes from like him being on the table, like as the dummy, and then he starts chasing him, and it's very clearly like just a person in a costume.
Yeah, I hate his movements and like I don't like it at all.
Oh, it was so worse. Like the suit actor like had to have the hands like this the whole
Yeah,
time. I love that trick. It's like God, just stop, just stop.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
no,
it reminded me of
that's why-
C-3PO. It was like, R2-D2, where are you?
Right.
That's why I still think Night of the Living Dummy 2 is the best one. Because it's the practical effect the entire time.
2
It's an
and
actual
right.
puppet. And it was genuinely freaky. Like,
Mhm.
Night of the Living Dummy 2 was freaky.
The only
I don't
thing about
understand. Like, I wonder who made that decision. Who said, "Hey, we need a suit version of Slappy"?
I think it's
Somebody
just
needs to
because of
be in.
how much
Well-
Slappy moves in this episode.
You know what?
But
He moves a lot. But you know
though.
what would have made it better was if they just chose between one or the other. It would, because the episode was shot well, had a good soundtrack and everything. The actors were really good, apart from scene. But like, I don't know. I think they should have chose between one or the other. Because if the whole episode just had this, it's the going back and forth thing that really bugged me.
Mhm.
They should have just made a decision. We're going to do the mask one for the entire episode, or we're going to use the puppet for the whole episode. Make the decision. You know what I mean? I don't think they should have done.
for the whole episode.
Yeah.
I don't even think it should have been a thought.
And then I didn't have a picture of it in the slideshow, but as we were talking about earlier, you know, the mouth being within the mouth or the Ninja Turtles thing, there is a shot in this episode where you can see it like clear as day that there's just a mouth within Slappy's mouth.
I
It's-
think like
Yeah.
the one part about the Night of the Living Dummy, I think why I never got super attached to it was I will say Tim's art on Night of the Living Dummy in the original, like his first couple covers, really captivated me as a kid. And when I saw it on TV like this, I was immediately as a kid like turned off to it because it doesn't look really anything like what he had put on the art. And it was one of those that I really was hoping they were going to stick kind of true to the dummy. And like you said, when they went kind of live with it and I was like, this is not,
Mhm.
you know, there's something really creepy about the aesthetic of a doll coming to life and talking and, you know, all the things. And they butchered it, in my opinion.
So yeah, I'm the opposite. I love the art on the books, but I love TV Slappy. I think he is like the perfect puppet design.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
That is one of the only features that I love.
Yeah, it's definitely a taste sort of thing because I've heard people say both. I've heard people say that the TV show one is like really, really good. Some people, I've actually met people who like it more than the Tim Jacobus art. Like they just think it's the like definitive version, and then there's some people who aren't a fan of it. And I mean, I see both sides.
I feel like, I mean, obviously the voice is iconic, you know, I mean, I think for me, I watched it anyway. I think just because, like, that's the kind of bummer is I feel like if I would have saw the TV show first versus the art, I probably would have. I respect it now. I love it now. Like now as an adult, like I appreciate all of it. But as a kid looking back, it's kind of like that movie versus book, whichever comes first, you tend to like more, you know?
Yeah.
And
So actually, that leads into my question for you then. So since the movie Slappy
I was going to ask the
ended up
same thing.
looking more like the book, do you prefer that over TV Slappy?
Hey, are you talking about the Disney Plus one that you hate astronomically?
No.
No. The Jack Black
It's not the
movie.
new TV show. I try not to talk about the new TV show unless I like absolutely have to. But
Thank you.
I was talking about the Jack Black movie. So
you know, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of that movie, to be honest. I thought it was a little goofy. But my kids really enjoyed it, so I watched it quite a bit. But I don't know. I feel like that one was. It seemed like in the movie version they made him a little more childish, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know if it was an innocence thing, kind of. But I mean, if you watch that compared to like this. I mean, it's night and day. Like they're two different spectrums. And then, of course, obviously the new one on Disney Plus as well. That it's pretty dark, if we're going to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Compared, that one reminds me a little more of the old one. Like it's pretty dark in a lot of ways because they're gearing more towards our generation, not just kids. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the R.L. Stein ones.
The movie
R.L. Stein, Jack Black, excuse me. Sorry.
The movie version definitely was like it I kind of equate him to like Keith Ledger's Joker. It's just like I'm an agent of chaos. Like it was just kind of like I just want to do stuff to do stuff.
It just seemed like he was just like, oh, let's see how much we can get away with.
Yeah,
you know?
the
like
TV show Slappy was gonna hit Amy's parents with a guitar. And, then was going to turn Zane into a dummy and just kind of fuck with him for the rest of his life. Or was going to, like, in the book, Mr. Wood was going to choke their dog to death.
TV Slappy also, like, exclusively looked angry all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, when you could tell he was pissed all the time, and that's kind of like this new one too. I think that's why I think I respect the Disney Plus one, and I know they messed up I'm 100% with you on the haunted mask. I was very pissed about that, but I will say the one I feel like the Slappy, I was pretty impressed with. Like I thought not only did they do a good job aesthetically, like through his looks, but I think just personality wise, it's a lot darker. And
I mean, that episode got the best review. Night Living Dummy was considered the best episode of the Disney Plus show because that was the one thing people actually said they liked was the Slappy.
Yeah, well, you finally got his backstory too, right? You got kind of like where he originated from and how and why, and it kind of made it make so much more sense in that regard,
Well, at least their version,
right? I know.
I want to move on really quick to we're almost at the end of the 90s TV show, but I want to give two exclusive honorable mentions to two Halloween costumes in the show. And the first one is both Catherine's,
costume
with Catherine Long as the duck costume.
Hell yeah.
Duck walk.
Go Ducks, baby.
Woo! And then we have Walker as a dark and stormy night. I see the dark, but where's the stormy?
Man, he is lucky her dad didn't just punch him in the face. Squirt me in the face. I'm like, oh, you.
I just feel like, what the fuck are you supposed to be? Oh man, bitch. I just love I don't know if you guys watch Oni Plays, but he once told a story about how one Halloween in I think it's late 20s, he wore like a gorilla, like one of those skin tight gorilla costumes, but he wore it was cold, so he wore like a jacket and a beanie, like a big hat, and he wore big boots, and he got stopped by a black guy, and he was like, so what the fuck are you supposed to be? And then he was like, a silverback gorilla. And then the guy was like, later. So good. All right. And now we're going to take a look at some of the aftermath of these TV show costumes. Because as we said, I mean, this TV show was over 30 years ago now. And as Ron Stephanic has told us, not all of these prosthetics and masks were meant to last. So first, we're going to start off with what the haunted mask looks like now.
Sad.
Well, one of them anyway.
Now it looks like the old man mask.
Listen,
kinda
I
have,
won't
like,
lie, for that being foam latex, that's in really good shape. For them to not have really taken care of it, like foam latex is crazy rotable. Like if you think latex masks are rot worthy, foam latex, the inside is a sponge. So every time they put that on and off, it absorbed every little bit of sweat or it's just I've had foam latex masks that lasted like a year and a half under my care, so that is actually really impressive to me.
But unfortunately, I mean, you can definitely see that there is age on
this
it.
mask got sold and became publicized, like I was talking to the guy who owned it beforehand. That's the one that's how I got the pieces from it. It's very brittle. And why it's that way is because Steve Levitan, who was an executive producer for Goosebumps, took this mask after production because he liked the episode so much. Kept it apparently where sunlight could hit it every day of its life.
It was on a desk in his office. I saw it. Yep.
And it shrunk and it's hardened. And I think the only reason it might be preserved at this point like it is. I mean, yeah, it's brittle. And I guess the person who owns it now told me that they were going to take it and get it sealed and everything else. So to try to preserve it as best as possible in its current state. But I know there's two more out there. I just don't know what they look like.
Catherine Long has one.
And Catherine Long has one.
So this is the only one that has been like officially
in existence. And yeah, this is the only one that we've seen, at least.
Yeah, has been officially publicized to be like, hey, this is one of the original masks used in the episode. Fun fact, but I mean,
I was supposed to buy that off of that guy before it got out to whoever else, but he was so incredibly difficult to work with that I gave up.
I mean, probably wasn't
I talked to him quite a bit. I never got the offer, and next thing I know, it's sold. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Okay. It was a very bizarre situation between me, him, and like his assistant or someone, like maybe a daughter that was like trying to help him or something. But whatever.
Yeah. No, AJ, I know how that goes. I have an original Casper playset back here in the box, and the guy worked at Trendmaster, and it's like one of the original, like there's like 3 left, and it was the same situation. Like it was on eBay, and I had to email this guy like for like a month before he like made me prove to him that I had an actual collection, all these things, before he would even send it to me. Finally he did, but I almost gave up. Same thing. I told him at one point, I'm like, dude, listen, are we doing this? Are we not?
Yeah. Are we going to make it sale or are we going to ask questions back and forth? So,
yeah.
Well, so we've seen what one of the original masks looks like. Now we're going to take a quick look at the original masks that are present currently in Ron Stephanic's studio. Courtesy, it came from the 90s on YouTube.
Ooh.
On May 18, 2018, I traveled to Scarborough, Ontario to meet with Ron Stephanic at his studio. Ron is the original voice and puppeteer of Slappy, as well as the creator of many monsters.
The original voice.
Oh, look at some of these. There's the shrunken head. Mass Mutant.
Batman for some reason.
That's the original skeleton for the shrunken head. The mummy cat. You can see that some of them held up better than others. This one's toothless.
Definitely an old man mask now. Ain't even got teeth, bro.
So cool.
It is, man. Scarecrow. That actually looks in decent shape.
I would love to have that.
And the creep looks pretty good.
Looks in good shape.
Yeah,
too.
that looks good too. Those look good.
Old man looks good.
Is that a Zane head?
The potato. Frankie beneath the sink.
Probably Beth.
I don't know why.
Galloping
Which
Gazelle
there's another one of those out there too. Catherine Long has that one. Yeah, there's your Zane head.
Zane head. I believe that last Haunted Mask that was in that last shot is the one that Scott wore in Haunted Mask 2.
Was. What was? There's a werewolf he has too somewhere, I know. Yeah, there it is.
There's a lawnmower there too.
Movie right there.
The body for one of the ants from Awesome Ants.
That's cool. Shame they don't have that phallus worm anymore.
There's the big pufferfish.
The retro toy store that I used to help out at and get a bunch of really awesome collectibles with, they make the mistake. They still do it. I've told them to not do it, but they do anyway. But they have a really big windows, like huge windows in the front, and they put all like a bunch of retro toys up at the front. Well, the sun in Oregon City, Oregon, when it comes up, it's like right there in the west, so it doesn't take more than just a couple months. And all that stuff, it doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, it just fades. And I mean, some of the toys I've brought off the front, they're like pink and teal, it just all the colors gone. Mm-hmm. And it's so sad to watch because I'm just like, I tell them like, this toy is like ruined, like, I mean, the packaging, at least you've essentially ruined it, but
well, I know, AJ, you just painted out the window and your place too. Yeah, because I actually just watched that video recently. And how were some of those masks there? You said they've been in that window for what?
It's close to 4 years. Yeah.
Weird.
At least 3, but probably closer to 4.
I did have a Trick or Treat Studios haunted mask that my first one I had, because the one up there in my background, that's my second one. The first one I had, I didn't really know much about latex at the time, so that one ended up browning and cracking in a lot of places, and I had to get rid of it. But fortunately, I was able to find a new one, actually at a resale store, funny enough. Didn't change the price. It was still the same price, but it was much better taken care of. But
Trick or Treat's biggest downfall is like the cheap Mexico latex that they use.
Which is why I'm happy that they do
100% agree.
The vinyl.
In the Trick or Treat Studios fan club, occasionally you'll see somebody who's brave enough to show a mask that they haven't had very long, but it's already browning or starting to rot.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the latex they use.
So moving on to the Goosebumps movie. We have a little lineup of some of the monsters here. I went primarily for the ones that were practical. So the stuff like the Abominable Snowman, the Werewolf, they're not going to be in this one. I wanted to focus on the ones that were purely makeup or masks. So we have the Snake Lady. We have one of the Graveyard Ghouls, Professor Shock, a Creep, and the Bog Monster. So that is supposed to be the monster from How to Kill a Monster at the end there. Like I said,
that is the one thing that they got right with the movie was the creeps. It's like Tim's up, ripped straight off the freaking cover. Even like the clothes it's wearing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing they got right with the movie was the creep. Man, it looks so good. So it makes you wonder why they couldn't do that for the rest of the monsters in the movie.
I was gonna say I'm gonna just sit this one out because I have almost nothing nice to say about it.
I think some of them look good. I think the Snake Lady looks pretty nice. I do like sort of the texture on the skin and the eyes there. Going up next, we have first here we have the Haunted Mask in the Goosebumps movie. We will revisit that in the next slide, by the way, because I actually found something very interesting. But we have that one. We have another Graveyard Ghoul. We have.
Tell me what it looks like. Ryan Reynolds put that on.
It kind of does, doesn't it? It does look like Ryan Reynolds.
I see Dwight from The Office.
I can't unsee it now.
And we have Captain Ben and Cronby the Troll. Both are very little-known Goosebumps monsters. I'm surprised they made it into the movie. So I found this picture. It is actually of a concept for what the Haunted Mask was going to look like in the movie. This is what it was originally set to look like before the final version. What do you guys think about this one?
I think that looks like the book, like the most recent book release version.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes are a little wide, in my opinion. Like I feel like there's too many arches between the nose and the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's a cool looking concept.
I mean, it looks really pissed off. Like the TV show mask had like an angry brow, but it was more kind of like resting angry. This one is just like,
yeah,
it looks like it's gonna try and eat you.
Yeah,
a little bit. But yeah, I found it interesting. I was like, wow, I can't believe it was going to look so drastically different from the final concept.
I don't know what's up with that too.
Yeah. Moving on, we got a few more monsters. We got 2 graveyard ghouls, bottom left or top left and bottom right. We have the Mummy, Prince Karoo. We got the Lord High Executioner, a Scarecrow, and Count Nightwing. I mean, I like the Scarecrow and I like the Mummy. I'm not a big fan of Count Nightwing, to be honest.
No, Count Nightwing looks like he belongs on a Conan O'Brien sketch.
yeah.
Like, I could totally see that version just on a late night talk show sketch. Like, it's bad.
Yeah.
I want to know how you mess up the Executioner.
Yeah, that one I'm not a big fan of either.
I mean, it's a cloth sack, and it's terrifying on the book cover.
Mm-hmm.
It literally looks like you're going into Party City, and they have those ads of people in the costumes. Like that's that's the vibe I get. I'm like, it's so fake that it doesn't look real.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you have this awesome Scarecrow down here. Like, I really do think so. I think the Scarecrow in this movie looks great. And as we'll see in a few slides, they're pretty tall too. Like they made these things like towering over the actors. But yeah, then you got ones that just kind of missed the ball on adapting these monsters.
Do you think that they dumbed down designs and made them less scary on purpose?
I mean, that's what it kind of looks like.
Could have been. I mean, here you got
that makes sense.
We have the
theatrical release, so I totally think they did.
Yeah,
we got the pumpkin head from Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. We got Murder the Clown, and then I forget the name of this person. I'm pretty sure she's from Ireland.
Madame.
Wasn't it Madame Doom?
Madame Doom. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I will say, Madame Doom. Like the eyes are cool. Like, I mean, I'll give her that. Like, and I like that they used an actual real person, and like she's not like super overly done. But like the jack-o'-lantern, like it's kind of weird because they basically took a pumpkin and then it literally has a skull face, essentially.
They try to do the Halloween 2 pumpkin.
Yeah. So that's a little odd.
And then the clown is just a clown. Like, I think
from Nightmare on Clown Street.
He's got grills.
Well, he was from what I was told, he was to promote the new book that was coming out at the time, which was Nightmare on Clown Street, because you got Murder the Clown in there, because that book came out right when the movie was coming out. So they were like, "Oh yeah, to those that don't know this character, you will soon." And I remember that was some of the things they said in the press tour. And then, sure enough, there was a book, Nightmare on Clown Street, and that was who he was basically based off, Murder the Clown. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Wasn't really impressing me with the clown.
I just think scary clowns in general are silly.
So here we have some group shots.
Even just looking at that photo, man, like the creep is the standout character. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is.
Well, and you also have like the body squeezer in the back here. If you look at the left picture in the back, you can see the body squeezer.
That haunted mask looks so dumb.
I literally feel like I'm looking at Ryan Reynolds like every time you show it. Like I'm like,
it looks to me, it just looks like an old lady who like had some bad pea soup.
I picture him as like Deadpool, just saying random shit like in that mask. Like, we need that. We need a spiff. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
But I just like how the
Scarecrow
Hills
have eyes.
It does kind of look like Hills of Eyes. I just like that the Scarecrow and the jack-o'-lanterns are like so tall. Like I just like that they tower over the other monsters. That's one thing cool. I like about them.
Oh snap! We got Papa Shango down there. Who's? Wait though.
Oh
yeah.
quickly taking a peek at movie number 2, we have these 3. Now, these ones are purposely done so the main characters can get past all the other monsters. I kind of like that it's almost like a reference to Halloween 3 because you have the witch, the pumpkin, and the skull.
Big time.
Yeah.
I never noticed that.
Very intentionally done there.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be. Either that or it's just a very, very good coincidence. All right, moving on to the 2023 series. We're going to start off with Slappy. So here we have, going off of costume masks alone, we have 2 promotional ones. The one on the left was given out to, I think, just like fans. They're just like little paper cutout masks of Slappy that you can hold over your face. And then on the right here, we have ones that were in a bunch of like TikToks and promotional videos that would be next to this promotional version of Slappy. I know. I did you guys say you liked this version of Slappy, or did you say you didn't like it?
I did. I thought it was
I don't mind.
I thought it was the closest variation of the artwork that was put into play.
And I
don't like it at all. It looks like Vince McMahon to me.
I like that. I see that. It does look now I can't unsee that. Now it does look like Vince McMahon.
It looks a little better in the show when it's under like professional lighting.
I do. Now I kind of like it, you know. I see him doing the walk down to the
doing the meme.
You're fired.
Yeah. But I like him in the show. I thought Chris Gere was a really great choice to do Slappy. I did make the initial joke when the episode first dropped of like, holy shit, Slappy's British. But I actually really like it, and I do like this version of Slappy. I think it's up there as one of my favorite interpretations. So
I thought for me, the eyes, I think they did, like, I think the one difference that kind of made it pop was the eyes they gave him were just, they're so glassy and big, you know, and it just kind of gives him a new look, I guess, in a sense, compared to the others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree. All right. Now it's time to get into the forbidden zone.
Oh, no.
The haunted mask.
Oh, God.
In the 2023
Why are you doing this?
Oh, my God. We're watching it's the goblin from Harry Potter.
Well, I posted a picture the other day.
I always said it looked like Schmiegel's sister.
That too.
I was going to say, I posted a picture the other day.
Gollum's sister.
Where I first went into Spirit Halloween and I found the Trick or Treat Studios haunted mask. And right next to it was a Gollum mask. And Nick commented, was just like, wow, they have the original and the 2023 one there.
As soon as I saw the porcelain when they advertised it, because they didn't say it was the haunted mask at first, I was like, I swear to God, if that's the haunted mask, like, I'm going to have a problem. Like,
I said the same thing.
It's
and then the middle one. Literally, Rob Letterman then had a video. He had to come out. Oh, it's going to look more like the book version once, you know, it fully takes over. I'm like, okay, so we're not going to have that the whole time. Let's see here. I was still skeptical. And sure, I'm glad I was, because goddamn, what we got was
I kind of like the middle one. When it's smiling like that, I think it is creepy. I think that was like the only time it like really worked for me. But yeah, the original...
I will say that the transformation part, the 2-minute like transformation part, I think for me, like, that was pretty cool to watch. Like, I mean, the actual her transforming was kind of cool, but then when it became the full effect, and the only thing I would say after is when she takes it off, like, you see like a little blood, like she actually had to, almost looks like she ripped it from her head. That I thought director wise, like, that was a cool like aesthetic to put in practically. But yeah, as far as the gremlin here, you know, I just, it looks so cheesy and fake and not real.
They even could have made it green and it would have like improved it a little bit. Like, even if you made it like green tint, like, I don't know, I just
want to know like what book he was referring to, because it definitely wasn't based on Tim's art.
It almost looks like
oh, it's like my like Scream of the Haunted Mask, or I was like, I guess.
It
The
looks
pointy
like the
ear.
one from the House of Shivers.
Yeah,
that-
it kind of
It
does.
looks just like that one, like without the green. Like that's the one that when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, I guess they went with the House of
like the
Shivers.
little bat creatures.
Yeah.
I
Like
just
the
watched the South
Yeah.
Park Jersey Shore episode the other day, and all I can see is the Snooki monster.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. Maybe it should. Honestly, if it was that, it probably would have been a little better.
Yeah.
Well, we're officially out of the TV shows and the movies, so now we're going to get into stuff outside of those. First up, we're starting with how the Goosebumps monsters looked at the Walt Disney Horrorland Fright Show in 1997. As you can see, Slappy here looks very similar to the TV show, but you have Cuddles, Prince Koru,
He
and
does.
I don't know if you guys can notice it, but the Executioner in the back here, right by R.L.
Yeah.
Stein.
Yeah, he looked just like I like the execution.
Just like
He
the
looked like
show.
the
Danny DeVito's got to be in that Slappy costume
The Slappy looks like they made it out of cake.
for real.
Yeah, he looks big.
But the R.L. Stein looks great. That looks really real.
That's
I know,
yeah.
it's like such a realistic costume. I don't know how they did that.
That's the best.
That's
Jordan,
crazy.
that actually looks like you at 50, bro. Like it's a little glitch, so you can't see it fully, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
That's
costume-
like the one live action Cuddles we've ever gotten.
yeah.
Yeah.
Literally,
his-
that's it.
It looks like he's got like grass in his mouth.
Well, and one thing I'll say is that the
Look
Slappy, you can't see it here, but the Slappy head actually
Yeah,
like
something-
has moving eyebrows and mouth, so like it
Oh,
could
wow.
actually like talk,
That's cool.
which was interesting. But
Back when Disney was trying to make Goosebumps look like the old stuff.
Yeah.
Like back when Disney was trying to actually make Goosebumps, like the original stuff.
yeah.
I don't know.
Next up, we have what we talked about recently in another episode of the podcast from Goosebumps Alive and the Ministry of Masks. Goosebumps Alive versions of both the Haunted Mask, Slappy, and the Scarecrows. Those pumpkin heads are actually the Scarecrows and not Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. I like these. I love the really like grotesque, nightmarish designs of these masks. Personally.
I just see Chucky.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're cool. They're cool concepts, though.
Yeah. Well, definitely the Scarecrows I like with the different kinds of pumpkins. You can see that one is just like completely rotting and like some of it's not even orange. It's so rotted. Like, I think those worked really well. But if you guys haven't seen our interview with Samuel Wire on Goosebumps Alive, by the way, episode number 37, go check it out. It is a great interview. We found out a lot of info we didn't know before. So check that one out.
The Slappies look like that toy monkey that hits the cymbals together.
Yeah, just like all right, next up, we have the first of the Goosebumps merchandise for masks and costumes. So first up, we're starting off with the Goosebumps
Jesus.
90s costumes. We have Cuddles, Curly, the Mud Monster, Slappy, Prince Koru, and the Horror.
I gotta say, this brings me back because I totally forgot I had this, but I don't remember how old I was, probably 6 or 7, but I had that mummy one, 100%.
Mm-hmm. I personally like
Wow.
the Mud Monster the best. I think that might be my personal favorite.
I think it's got the cool oversized head so it like fits on your shoulders, so it makes it look kind of like you have this huge glob on your head.
Yeah, it's like very baggy. It almost looks like. I mean, it's those typical like old children's costumes. It's almost like a big onesie.
Yeah.
So I
cool.
have all these except for the Mud Monster.
Damn.
And I do look like that Slappy from the other slide we just saw the live show when I put that costume on. So that's ironic. That's ironic.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
But then we also had some vinyl masks that you were actually talking about. I'm pretty sure if these are the ones you were talking about, Nick. These
Oh,
three.
yeah.
Yep. So we have Curly, the Horror, and the Haunted Mask, which that one took inspiration from the TV show.
Yeah.
I think these are pretty nice. I like these. For a while, I mean, before TOTS, like these were the full over Goosebumps masks that you had.
I think the Horror is done really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's my favorite
it's
out of
really
the set.
honestly a pain to try to put on because of the way they formed it. It's like a cut off sloped mask, which is really odd. And the way it sets, especially if you got multiple chins like I do, it doesn't really go on there very well. I had a hard time with the horror mask.
Listen, to be fair, these were made for children.
That is true.
I was a kid when this came out.
Well,
That's the ones that came around and made these for
kid.
adults. So
I will say the one thing one of my favorite characters was always Curly. And I really wish they would have made him more of less than a promotional and put him more, or even as like a host, like the Crypt Keeper.
Role.
Yep.
It would have been really cool if they used Curly as a host for some of those.
Yeah, how was he not R.L. Stein as like the introductions to the episodes?
Ooh,
that would have been cool,
you guys. Yeah,
He could have done the shorter. He could have done like the short episodes. So like R.L. Stein did obviously the 2-parters, like 40 minutes, but they could have used Curly for the like 20-minute runtime ones.
Yeah,
like the shorter ones.
And that
would have been.
That's
cool.
what cracked me up. Like you watch the Haunted Mask, and you'd be like, "Was that scary, guys?"
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's not as scary anymore that you're on screen. Or when a Terror Tower, when he's like, "How do you get out of here? Somebody let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. Let me out of here."
Yeah.
It's like I'm an author, not an actor.
I love Terror Tower.
Next up, we have these voice changing masks. The curly one I actually have. It's on my top of my shelf. But you have the curly and the haunted mask, and you could change your voice with these masks. I actually like how the haunted mask one looks.
I don't know how it sounds.
Yeah,
and it goes in the dark.
And it goes in the dark. Yeah, the haunted mask one looks a lot like the book.
Never had these. Those are cool.
Oh yeah,
that's the one curly product where I thought they made him look kind of nerd. Yeah, like he's a bit of a nerd somehow.
Yeah,
but he's curly.
He does look
like that's like the one. Like if you look at his face.
4 eyes.
Can we just appreciate how much cooler the packaging makes a Goosebumps product?
Oh, big
yes.
time. I mean, it's
the drastic difference between the haunted mask in the middle and the haunted mask on the right is crazy, and they're the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like that's the thing too. It's like it truly came out, I think, in the perfect time of the 90s, right? Everything was kind of neonish and blue, and purple and teal, and these greens, and it's it's dope.
Like it was how you knew it was a Goosebumps product.
Yeah, because they put that color scheme on everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the packaging for everything in the 90s was fantastic. That's one thing I really was hoping to see out of Trick or Treat Studios, actually, when they designed the packaging, that they would at least try to throw it back. Not exactly copy, maybe, but at least try to throw it back to the 90s stuff. And so far with everything, I haven't seen that. It's like they try to do their own original take on everything, which is fine. They're a company, they got to do what they got to do. But with nostalgia being what it is and how great this packaging looked back in the 90s, I think it's a damn shame and a missed opportunity not to try to replicate that.
Yeah, totally agree.
Next up, we have I don't know if you guys know about these, but when Pizza Hut did a tie-in with Goosebumps, the Escape from Horrorland game, they made these hollow masks.
Yep.
4 of them.
I have
Slappy, the Mummy, Curly, and
That's so cool because it seems like it predates Goosebumps. Like those are like Ben Cooper masks from the 60s.
They are so hard to get, man. Like those are so hard to get because they're so fragile. Like they break. I've got a full set, and man, like just trying to get all 4 of them and not be like, bent and creased. Oh my god!
The amount of sweat that those accumulated as well as a kid.
You're just breathing on hard plastic,
right in the end, like a pool.
So suffocating on Halloween night was worth it.
I remember those.
Those are rad. The Mud Monster is super cool.
Yeah.
That is a really cool one.
Let's give a shout out to Pizza Hut, by the way. Not a sponsor. Just saying, we used to be able to dine in and actually enjoy your food. Pretty cool,
Dude, I miss the old Pizza Hut.
Bring it back,
guys. Please bring it back. I already messaged you.
The start.
Next up, we're jumping up like about a decade to the mid to late 2000s. with these Goosebumps masks and costumes. So you had a Slappy costume, you had a vinyl haunted mask, and then you had the Slappy mask that came with the costume, but you could also get the mask itself.
I never appreciated this haunted mask. I feel like it made it look like an alien.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at the time, though, it was the closest you had to the book.
I've never found it.
Yeah.
There's only one person I know who has that mask, and he will not let it go.
He will not.
I cannot find this mask for the life of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks because I would absolutely love to have that for my collection.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find that one. Yeah. R.L. Stein's got one in his study.
Yeah.
I can find the Slappy one all day long, man. Like I see them sell all the time. I don't know if they just like made limited run of that haunted mask one and a lot more of Slappy. I really don't know, but I personally like the look of that haunted mask. And at the time, it was the closest to the book that we got.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, how do you get one? Dude, try Google Lens search or something. Maybe there'll be some random website.
I just found one.
The Google search only brings up the picture of the guy I know that has it.
Oh, okay. That probably.
Wait, Nick, he found one.
Maybe. I don't like
that looks better than the TOTS Vacu-form haunted mask.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah,
the Vacu-form mask. Yeah, I do think so. And I am trying to find that Slappy costume. I've been having trouble finding one.
So is that mask, is it a plastic or is it what is it made of?
No,
it's sort of
that mask is vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that mask is vinyl made by Disguise Inc.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this Slappy mask, it looks really good in this picture, but I'm going to show you this picture because that's what it actually looked like.
That's Peter from Family Guy.
Oh no!
What the hell? I was gonna say,
look at that.
Actually look pretty decent in the picture.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's another cake. Somebody's grandma just tried to make a Slappy cake.
It's rough.
Okay, so I can at least say the haunted mask one I have pictures of from that guy that he has it. He sent me pictures. It does look like that photo. However, this is entirely accurate because this is exactly what I see on my searches.
Why
for the
eyes red? Why is his eyes red?
And it's
I don't know, man.
No clue.
Again,
why does he have like
this?
Mr. Ed teeth?
Look at that. Look at this.
That is not the same mask at all. It's not the same sculpt.
It doesn't.
It's literally not. Look at the definition on the nose in the catalog picture, and then look at that.
And then
that's a different mask.
Gee,
it's rough.
It's like it's got like
it's like it's like Hot Toys. If anybody out there knows Hot Toys, it's like here's the prototype and it looks fantastic. Everybody pre-orders and loves it. Then the final product photos come out and it doesn't look half as good as the prototype did. And too late, suckers. You already gave us your money.
Not only that, but it's like when you order something off, like I don't, but like when you order something off Wish.com and you're like, oh, this is great. And then,
Emu.
Catalog
like, just kidding, it's a sock. Yeah.
Did you see there was a guy that bought a fishing rod off Temu for like $2 or something, and he got it, and he's like a professional fisherman, and he's like, let's just see if this actually works, and he actually reeled in some fish with it, and he was like, holy shit, this is like $2. It's perfect for like a kid's starting fishing rod, like. And he was literally reeling in fish with it, and he spent $2 on Temu.
Wow!
Hey, they say shop like a Temu, you know.
All right, moving on to Trick or Treat Studios. Now, this was the first line of their Goosebumps collection that was first introduced in 2018, and then was added to in 2017, and was added to in 2018. So you started off with the Slappy and Haunted Mask TV show versions, and then you had the Vacu-form Slappy and Haunted Mask, which were based on the books. And then in 2018, they added the Old Man Mask and the pumpkin head from Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. I think these masks did their job. I think they're really one for one with the TV shows. I know you guys said you're not too impressed with the Slappy one.
I mean, it looks like Slappy. I just don't think that it should exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
so I don't know. Like it has characteristics of Slappy, but the problem is they based it off of their static prop rather than the actual TV show look.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was where the problem came in. Because if I remember right, their Slappy they were able to take from Scary Closet,
Yep.
and that's their design. And I don't think it's
Scary
accurate
shit.
at all.
Scary shit closet.
Design.
Right down to like,
Yeah,
I just hate the fact that like the eyes are painted green and or like they got that weird like evil look to them, and they shouldn't.
Right.
That's a Scary Closet thing, and I never understood why they would base their paint master off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
That's why most people just bought the doll. Like,
I don't know.
most people
And
just
then-
bought the Slappy doll. They didn't buy the
even
mask. Most people just bought the doll.
The Vacu-form
Right.
masks tried to capture the original book, though with what we're going to see coming up, their latest endeavors, I think, do a much better job of capturing the book's look. But what do you guys think of the Vacu-forms for Slappy and the Haunted Mask? Do you think those were pretty decent for what they were? Or?
Yeah, I don't have any
Okay.
complaints about those.
yeah,
For
no,
the price and everything, can't complain.
yeah.
They did their job.
Yeah, they did what they were meant to do. They were just vacuum form. They're good. The
But
Haunted Mask and Mask would be the only two I would say really could have been worked on. I know originally who did it was Kane Productions, who does work for TOTS. That's why he has the sculpts that they used. But when you compare him to actually the show version, I mean, they're not completely accurate. There's a lot of differences to actually dive into what they look like, the angles, and this that, and the other. Like my Haunted Mask in my case is probably the closest you'll get, but you're also paying a custom mask maker to make that. So I mean, $60 what you see there compared to hundreds of dollars back here. I mean, you can't really complain. It's a good mask. It's a good sculpt.
But moving on to their latest endeavors over at Trick or Treat Studios, we have their currently still in their pre-order stage collection of Goosebumps masks. Now these
That
ones,
Mud Monster is so accurate to the
So
fucking book. It is so perfect, that Mud Monster.
Yep.
yeah, these are absolutely incredible masks. They're vinyl masks too, so they're going to last much longer. They look exactly like the Tim Jacobus art. I mean, you can tell they really did all that they could to like make these look like the original books. And I'm super stoked to get mine.
That has the potential to be the best official release in a long, long, long time.
Yeah, I
agree.
mean, those are pretty dope.
Yeah.
Even the
weakest
mummy,
one to-
like as simple as the mummy is, it's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the mummy. And actually, the fact that they put the G splat on the back, like the 90s masks had, was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That Slappy is the best mask representation of the book cover Slappy that I've seen.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It
And
is.
there's going to be a doll, apparently, a ventriloquist doll with the same like look and everything. Apparently, they're doing
Really?
a book.
Mhm.
Tim Jacobus
Yeah.
Slappy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
That'd be
even
awesome.
the darkness around the eyes, like everything, like they really went into the detail of like making it. I will say Curly looks a little cartoonish, I guess.
He looks
Mhm.
muscular. You can't put brows on a skull.
I guess that's what I mean. Yeah, it looks like Vacuum Man, you know, like. But
Arnold Skeleton.
Yeah, it's Arnold. Arnold
Get to
Skeleton.
the Joppa.
Skeleton.
Oh.
Now
Now we're gonna look at some Slappy costumes. Now we've looked at Trick or Treat Studios and some official releases from the '90s, which, while not perfect, a lot of them looked a lot like what they were going for. But we're gonna take a look at some a little bit third-party versions of Slappy.
Oh,
so
boy.
let's take a look here.
Oh boy.
Oh no! The one on the far right.
Is
The
actually
sculpt kind of
scary.
looks all right. The eyes are terrible, but the
Why
sculpt
did he got a goatee though?
It's a cracked chin, isn't it?
Is
Well,
it?
Like it's
the
weird.
crack
The shape of the head and everything is very accurate, but just the eyes are stupid.
If it wasn't supposed to be Slappy, I would say that's like a pretty creepy mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine
Horror film.
And the one on the far left, I actually have. That was a Spirit Halloween exclusive tying in with the Goosebumps movie. So it came with a suit and the face mask. So
that middle one looks terrible.
Yeah, that middle one is bad.
That's neurodivergent Slappy.
Yeah, just completely indifferent Slappy.
That's funny.
Moving on here.
Can't place
No.
Oh,
what the hell?
You put it on here. Put it on here.
Oh yeah, so right there on the top right to start off. I mean, look at how small his face looks.
Is that the worst one? Can we say that's the worst one?
Either that or the bottom right.
I feel like we're not even. We're watching Pee Wee Herman now. It's not even.
That's Mr. Bean.
Yeah, Mr. Bean. Yeah. The one on the bottom left is actually an upcoming release from HalloweenCostumes.com. And it apparently has glow-in-the-dark eyes and a movable mouth, but it looks so Uncanny Valley.
Do you have the picture?
I don't have any other pictures besides that one. If you want to go see the full pictures, you can actually go look it up on HalloweenCostumes.com or check out my post over on the Goosebumps Crew Instagram page. But it's creepy, disturbing.
It's rough.
Wow.
Now, I will say I asked TOTS about glowing eyes on their Slappy, and I feel that was a missed opportunity. They said they're not doing that. I was like, how can you not put the glow feature on Slappy's eyes, man? I was like, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. The drastic difference between how the mask looks when it's like not with the mouth open and with the mouth open is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know
the
if you
one
guys
that's
can
like
see that.
fully open like this is pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
it was
here
like somebody looked at the Night of the Living Dummy 3 suit costume and was
That's
like,
scary.
we got to do that.
We got to do that.
So bad.
I will say the murder clown looks identical to the one in the 2015 movie.
Yeah. I mean, other than the fact that
it's not too bad.
But
it's not too bad.
It looks
jack-o'-lantern too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can't all be winners. But now we're gonna, in our home stretch, we are going to actually take a look at some of the costumes that were submitted to us, and also that I've found through searching online. So these are costumes that people wore. Some of them are actually custom made and are pretty interesting to look at. But before we get into other people's, I think it's only fair to take a look at what we, the Goosebumps crew, have worn for Halloween masks and costumes. Starting with me, you guys remember that Slappy costume with the drastically different, mask compared to the store one? I wore that.
Yeah.
That's a little 10-year-old me wearing a Slappy costume.
Oh man.
That's
the mask looks like slightly better when it's actually morphed around your head.
Yeah.
A funny story. There was many people on Halloween that year that were saying I looked like, they were like, are you supposed to be Pee Wee Herman? And I was like, no, I'm Slappy from Goosebumps.
I love how the mask is so big on your face that your chin is like showing in the mouth.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh man, my head was so small, but I love this costume. I wore it because that was when I was getting into Goosebumps for the first time, so I was like obsessed. And when I got this costume, I was so happy. I would like wear it around the house. I loved it so much. I'm pretty sure my parents got rid of it because they were so sick of it. I've resented them.
You did have that costume.
Yeah, they admitted to me, they were like, I think we hid it from you because we were sick of it, but they told me they regret it. But whatever. But here's me in 2018 wearing this costume that I just showed off. That's me with the full thing, and I even made a Night of the Living Dummy manuscript, though you can tell it's very crudely put together. But yeah, that one was
Scotch tape.
Yep, Scotch
Like
It
tape.
doesn't look too bad when it's actually on you. Like it looks
Yeah.
alright.
It's not
Mhm.
too bad.
Yeah, it looks pretty okay. You can see kind of a tuft of my hair at the top there. I don't know if you can see that. Should have hit that.
This is
All right.
Slappy's man bun. It's
Yeah, what if Slappy had a man bun? All right, Nick, you're up next.
Don't
Oh,
give
wait, no,
Disney
Bjorn
Plus
is
any
up
more
next.
ideas.
I forgot about it.
I was gonna say no, I'm not.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got the order
The one-
mixed up. This is Bjorn.
We just
Um,
look so much alike, Bjorn. It's crazy.
So Bjorn, you went as Slappy for Halloween 1 year. I
And
think.
then on the right was the one that I got stopped so many times to take a photo because everyone was like, I can't believe you did that.
It's
I
the
literally
coolest
got, like-
Goosebumps costume I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's pretty
The one-
cool.
Yeah. Because I was like, I got one of my Goosebumps books that was like completely falling apart, like it couldn't be saved. So I like took the pages out and I stuck it on the. So I tried to do like the intro and then I even added like the G, so kind of like the pages are morphing. So I tried to do the intro.
Where did you find the letters for the R.L. Stein? That's pretty sick. That's a good job.
Oh, so yeah, they're just pages from a Goosebump book.
Oh no, there's like a R.L. Stein like
No,
lettering.
no, the lettering.
Like,
The
how did you do
lettering.
that?
Oh, you
Or the
mean on the
briefcase.
actual briefcase? Oh, I had to get those like made
right?
custom. Someone had to like actually like custom put them on the
Oh.
briefcase.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, that one I stopped for a hell of a lot. It was at Oz Comic Con, which is just like Australian Comic Con, and yeah, like one of the guys I was with though, he was playing the Goosebumps theme like on his phone while I was walking with. So like people just were like, "Oh my god!" Like it's got the music playing and everything. Like while he's
That's
doing
so
the
cool.
walk. So
That's freaking
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
I enjoyed that. That was definitely the best cosplay. But then I just did Slappy 1 year because my niece, we went to SeaWorld in Australia and she was like, go with Slappy. So I was like, all right. So I just, yeah. I mean, Slappy costume's easy, but I didn't want to wear a mask. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna go as me and draw the mouth on and whatever. So,
Do you still have the full outfit for the intro thing?
oh yeah, I've still got all that. Got the
That needs
the
to be on a
suit.
life-size mannequin, like in a
For
corner.
real.
Yes,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
and then but I had to add Slappy with me just to really, just in case the odd person doesn't know what it is. I thought if I have Slappy with me, they have to know.
Yeah,
You need to
So-
get a golden retriever and walk it around with you too.
with the eyes, with the yellow eyes.
I should. Oh my god, yeah.
All right, next up we got. I mean, these are awesome. I remember when you posted your cosplay as R.L. Stein, and that was just like it blew me the hell away. I had to include it in here, absolutely. So that was perfect. And then Nick, we got you. Now I remember
Love it.
when I met you, we were at Wisconsin to meet R.L. Stein, and you were fully dressed as Carly Beth in the Haunted Mask. I remember that. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't see you when I was in full costume.
How hot was that costume, by the
I
way?
jumped. Not really.
Really? That's good.
mm,
No. I mean, that's probably the most comfortable cosplay I've ever done.
Nice.
And honestly,
Really?
like I'm so used to wearing masks for long periods of time, it doesn't even, I guess, bother me anymore.
All right, now it's
But
time to
I
take a
will say,
look.
like when I took the mask off, yeah, like sweat would probably just pour out of that thing, So I'd have to.
Well, I remember when I
give it a good
wore.
clean when I was done.
I remember when I did
Yeah.
wear the TOTS haunted mask for Halloween 1 year, but number one, it was tight. Like it is like legitimately tight on your face. So it just got like really claustrophobic underneath, which I guess is the point. But
Yeah.
but it would like trap sweat so easily, and when you're walking around, like that is absolute hell. So I couldn't even do it. So yeah, it was bad. But now it's time to take a look at some user submitted ones, and then as I said, I also found a few searching through Google. All credits are down below, so you guys can go check out whoever submitted the photo. But let's start off with this lovely
Tyler and AJ
cosplay right here.
Oh man, I was looking forward to seeing Tyler and AJ's photo.
I've never
Well,
had Goosebumps for Halloween.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got some other cosplay, but not Goosebumps yet. Now I'm tempted though.
But here we have a Haunted Mask 1 and 2 couples cosplay. So we have Carly Beth from the first one and then the shopkeeper from the second one.
I like the shopkeeper. I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, that's just a great couples cosplay. It's just both versions from both episodes. I think that's really cute right there. All right, next up we got a Dr. Brewer cosplay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. I've never seen that.
That's
That was such a simple idea too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like very
Simple,
basic,
but you
but
know
it works.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had the leaves on his head too. So if you like remove the hat, he's like got the leaves.
That's so cool.
All right, we got another haunted mask. We're gonna have a few haunted masks on here, but I love this photo because of the lighting. This is a really nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Epic film, guys.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Goosebumps for Dummies, Slappy Halloween costume. I believe he said he took this a few years ago, but it's very makeshift. It looks nice. All right, next up, we got another haunted mask.
Oh, there's that mask you're up to me.
Yeah, this is the guy I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. I believe,
pretty
if
sick.
I'm not mistaken, this is also the same guy who did a complete overhaul of the Slappy like dummy, like the one with the pull string moth, and he made it like a full-on book accurate Slappy that's actually a ventriloquist dummy. I'm pretty sure that it's the same guy. If it isn't, correct me if I'm wrong. But he has a great video over on his Twitter. Go check it out. But I really like the Goosebumps pumpkin here that he's carrying. All right, next up.
Speaking of ventriloquist dummies, what are your guys' thoughts on the dummies that I know you got one behind you? I've got one up here, but the ones where they actually took the insides and made the Slappy movable, like his eyebrows and stuff.
I like them. I just wish they didn't go for the realistic hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really liked them. Yeah. I remember when I got that one.
Bad with the realistic hair.
The She-Hulk.
It straight up has like some Eugene Levy eyebrows and straight up like Donald Trump like hair going on. It's freaking weird.
So here we have the Haunted Mask and She-Hulk. I mean, I can't tell
which is which.
I don't know.
Say you should have put labels on these. I can't tell which one's which.
I don't know if that mask is like the 90s mask. I don't know. I can't really tell.
It is the 90s
looks like
it is?
It is.
Nice.
It is.
It's the 90s.
All right.
They were in a vintage one.
There it is.
So there we got, this is the same dummy we're talking about. She had admitted that it's not really a costume, but she really liked how she dressed up her Slappy here. I really like the Goosebumps tux that the Slappy has here, and the little top hat.
Oh, yeah. That's the fabric.
I like that.
Yeah, there was like 3 versions. There was like the regular one with the fake hair. Then there was the next step, which is this one that had the regular eyebrows, but like real hair, and you had the pull inside. And then the third one was the one where his eyebrows were super bushy and like you can move everything.
Yeah, you got them Eugene Levy, Harley Ermy eyebrows, and stuff of nightmares.
All right, next up we got a Slappy and Haunted Mask combo.
It's the one. It's the killer mask.
It's the killer mask. And then we have makeup of Slappy and the Haunted Mask.
That's pretty cool.
This is really cool.
I mean, can we just admit those are like the two, like, well, Curly's missing, but like the 3 mascots of Goosebumps are like Curly, Slappy, and the Haunted Mask.
Yeah.
Like they are the definitive mascots, right? Those 3.
Yeah.
100%.
The trio.
All right, here we have another shopkeeper haunted mask. This one looks really nice. I love the hood on it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I love the shopkeeper design. I just love the suit with the mask. Just goes really well.
Here we have another Slappy. I actually prefer the makeup approach than the mask approach, unless the mask looks really good, like the new TOTS one. But I actually really like the makeup approach to doing a Slappy costume.
That new TOTS one's gonna look so sick. Like when people do cosplays of that.
All right, here we have a little boy in his Slappy costume and his Slappy.
Oh,
that's cute. I like that.
He's missing his shoes.
Yeah, we have another one. Oh, here's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that one's
Shopkeeper
dope.
haunted mask. This almost looks like a Sith haunted mask.
The photo on
It's
the left
Anakin
though,
Skywalker.
definitely makes the mask look like it has balls on its chin.
Like it has Peter Griffin chin.
Peter Griffin chin, yeah.
I love that.
I mean, these are it's my favorite shopkeeper so far, but ball chin.
Yeah. All right. This one I found over on DeviantArt. It's a whole group of
Oh,
Goosebumps cosplays.
Jelly Buddy's on there. I love that.
Yeah, and the Scarecrow and Prince Carew. Like, this is really neat.
Pretty
Bjorn,
good.
I can't believe that you
Yeah.
haven't done a Camp Jelly Jam cosplay.
Oh, that's this year Halloween for sure. Well, I think we said for one weekend at Horrorland that we're all going to dress up, and I said I'd go as Buddy. I think Isaiah said he'd go as Slappy, and then Nick obviously will go as the Haunted Mask. We just go with like our favorite. I think that'd be really, really sick. But
That
yeah,
needs
no,
to
I
happen.
should go with. Yeah, 100%. I think I should go as Buddy, definitely. 100.
Now, here
I
we
agree.
have a Calling All Creeps cosplay right here. Look at this
That's
one.
wild.
Interesting.
That's
Okay.
wow.
That is kind
So
of
it
cool.
looks like
though.
they took a Jurassic Park mask and painted it. That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Those
it. And the
dinosaur
green,
masks are everywhere, like at Walmart all
Yeah.
year round.
and the green.
Yeah. It actually works. If you had that mask and that though with the actual like the hoodie, like the like we see on the cover of Tim's art, that could work so well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next up, we
Yeah.
have another haunted mask, but this mask looks like it actually looks like the slimy skin version in the episode, which I
I
really
think that's
like.
one of those silicone ones. I forget who makes them, but they're really nice.
And here we have a Seichi's
good.
dye costume.
That's sick.
That's sick.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
I haven't
love
seen
that.
that yet.
Like it's not accurate, but Seichi's and Dai had some of the coolest cover art, and I've never seen somebody cosplay it, so that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that is like
Yeah.
thinking outside the box right
Yeah,
there.
this might be the first time I've ever seen anybody cosplay Say Cheese and Die. So I mean, that's
That's cool.
kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another one you might have not ever seen before: a Curse of Camp Cold Lake cosplay.
Oh,
Pretty funny.
Okay.
I like that.
That's like what she sees versus what you see. I'm sorry.
All right. Next up, we
I
got
love
Attack the Jack-o'-lanterns. This one
I
looks
mean-
nice.
That's pretty solid.
Someone looks like someone's made their own mask.
Yeah.
I think that's a real pumpkin.
It looks like
Yeah,
a real
yeah, it
It
pumpkin.
looks like a real pumpkin. So
Yeah.
Made
Which is
their own
smart.
pumpkin. So
Look
you
at
gotta give
look
them
at the
credit for
hands.
effort.
I like that. The hands are cool.
Mhm.
Like that, you can still see the Sharpie on the outline.
right,
Shh! Don't tell anybody.
you're ruining the effect.
Next up, we got another double: Attack the Jack-o'-lanterns and the Haunted Mask.
Did she forget to tuck the mask in the shirt or something?
Totally did.
All right. Next
Okay.
up, we got a three cosplays at the same time: two haunted masks and a slappy.
Look how good the haunted masks look next to that slappy.
I just like that they're doing these poses. It almost looks like a poster for like a
Boy
sitcom.
band cover. The boy band cover.
Yeah,
like
that's a CD cover for
Goosebumps
sure.
album. It's like the Goosebumps album, like some
You could put
band.
like one of those parental advisory warnings on the bottom.
We're Goosebumping. That's the cover of Zach Baby TV's Goosebump. It is, right? We're Goosebumping.
man.
I'm a liar.
All right, we got a Curse of the Mummy's Tomb cosplay.
That's cool.
I get.
That's cool.
Look at
Oh,
this
that's cool.
one.
Wow.
This
Looks
one is
great.
really cool. That one's
That's great.
I like it.
definitely one of my favorites. Ooh, look at that mask. I like the eyes on it.
It looks almost like the Horrorland horror
do you
with
like-
glowing eyes.
How do you like this one, but you hate the Horrorland horrors because it looks like identical?
Because
far as
it's
their eyes.
because
That
that's
looks
on
like
a
the one from-
TV show. Like this is just a cosplay. There's no
Wow.
correlation between the two. I'm just telling you. And here we have a
Let's
Let's
Get
Get
Invisible.
Invisible cosplay.
It's cool.
What do they do to make the head look?
Looks like they just hit it underneath and then put like a little stand for the glasses and hat.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably a wire. You could use like a coat hanger or something probably to hold up the other stuff.
All right, here we have a custom-made haunted mask.
Nice.
And then I like this genre of costume with the Goosebumps book cover in front.
Yeah, that's
Pretty cool.
I found there was a few of these. And one last haunted mask. I really like the mask and the Goosebumps nails you can see right there. And the Slappy and the Goosebumps G.
Yeah.
They're dope.
No, I'm jealous.
Well, we're going to stop it right there. I mean, there's tons of Goosebumps, masks and costumes, both official and non-official. But, we felt since it's the start of fall and, Halloween is just around the corner, you kind of start thinking about what you want to be for Halloween and, really look back on all the different practical effects that were done in the shows and see all the different blunders it took in bringing these characters both to the screen and to you guys to wear around town. And I think at this point in time, we have a lot of people really trying to bring those characters to life as accurately as possible. So all I can say is I'm pretty stoked for those TOTS masks. Absolutely.
Yeah. Masks and the figures, I'm pretty ecstatic for.
What do you guys think is the worst mask? My last question for the night. What was the worst mask among that whole bunch?
There's some really bad slappies in there.
Yeah, I would say one of the slappies for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that Pee Wee Herman looking slappy.
That one that looks like that one slappy mask that looks like it belongs in a cartoon. When we had the multiple ones up there, it was on the bottom right. It literally looked like it was out of like a Disney cartoon. It was freaking weird for the Goosebumps slappy mask.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I completely agree on that. So, again, blunders it took to get here, but I think we're on the right track by this point. But that is going to do it for tonight's episode of the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. Tyler and AJ, I want to thank you both for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have you both here and look at these Goosebumps masks and costumes. So thank you both very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Where can our audience find you guys? Tyler, let's start with you.
So I'm on Instagram at 90sKidsThrowbacks. We just hit 500K the other day, so we're climbing up there. And
that's insane.
I just started our other page. So if you guys want to follow me and my wife, we do morbid couple comedy. It's pretty funny, I guess. We're on TikTok at Midlife Millennials. And then on Instagram, I just started midlife.millennials or period millennials. So you can find me on those.
And AJ?
YouTube and Instagram at The House of Masks. I'm getting close to 200K on YouTube, so I would appreciate the subs for sure.
Absolutely. Go check them both out. They really deserve the support. We appreciate you guys coming on for the night, so thank you very much. And of course, you can also follow Bjorn and Nick at Goosebumps Fan and Challenge respectively on their social medias and YouTubes, so check them out. And if you liked today's episode of the Goosebumps Crew Podcast, make sure you leave a like and comment. Subscribe to us if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit the bell notification to get updates when new episodes drop. Follow our audio platforms and our social medias. All those links are in the description below. We'll have another episode of the podcast for you next week, but until then, this has been the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. And from all of us here, as always, we want to wish you all to take care, stay safe, and have a very scary day.